about to happen that has not happened for an age. Entmoot.
And welcome along to Entmoot Live. It's the return of the live stream after a significant absence. I think the last time I did a live stream was the start of the year, so maybe they're once every 5 months at the moment, which is just knocking them out of the park. So very excited to be back. Do drop your comments in below to say hi, check the audio is working and all that sort of stuff. But of course, we arrive on, I mean, what are the chances that I plan a live stream for a day when we've got so many exciting things to announce, and also some exciting guests to join us in the virtual studio. And I do say guests because initially it was going to just be Alex from the Battle Camper, but also we have now an extra guest, 2 special guests from the new podcast, Cast It Into the Fire. Welcome along, Alex and J-Mac. Woo!
Hey, hello.
What a moment that was for everyone. How are you feeling, guys? How are you doing?
Sunburn.
Sunburn?
To the point.
I was in my garden for 5 minutes today, so that's me.
Yeah, you do actually look a little bit red on the nose.
Ginger problems.
Yeah. And Alex, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm good. I
Yeah?
am happy to be here, obviously.
Oh, that's kind. That's kind. Well, the reason, obviously, that I've invited you is because you invited. Well, it's not the only reason, but
Great. I felt obliged, to be honest. I preferred not to have had you, but you invited me, so.
Well, I wanted to start. Because people may not have heard of your exciting new venture, you guys. And you were very kind to invite me onto this new podcast, and I think it's a brilliant concept for a new podcast in the SBG world. There are not a lot of new podcasts kicking about, and if there are new ones, usually they're sort of, I don't know, they're just either talking about the game or about modelling or about the competitive nature of it. But you guys have got a bit of a different spin, and I believe, J-Mac, it was your idea. Is that right?
Oh, well, it's my idea to do a podcast, but Alex's idea.
My idea to do a one-star podcast.
So you said we should do a podcast, and Alex came up with the bit that is good.
He did all the work.
he was the primary mover. You know, nothing would have happened if it weren't for him. He also sort of.
Oh, it was a year ago.
You did do a lot of pestering. I would say it's a team effort. It's a team effort.
And that is. And the name of the podcast is, what is the concept? Do reveal all before we get into the exciting stuff of the releases today.
The podcast is called Cast It Into the Fire, which I think is an excellent name. I think it might be the best thing about the podcast.
I agree. I think it's a very good name.
And it's basically, if anyone saw the show Room 101, it's like that, but for wargaming. Yeah, that's very true as well. So John and I are on every week, and we discuss a different theme with a guest for that week. I keep saying week; it's not actually weekly. Whatever, that episode.
Fortnightly.
Fortnightly. I think
regularly.
I mean, every said bi-weekly, but that would be wrong.
As a tip from someone who has been doing podcasts for 90 episodes now, don't ever say weekly, because you just
never going to happen.
You will never keep to it, or even fortnightly for that. But
Well,
regularly it is.
Determined.
Regularly is a great idea. But anyway, yeah, so Room 101. So the first one was with Adam from 3D Wargames, and then the second, soon to be released, stars none other than me, which is exciting.
It's very exciting. It was a great episode. Not to toot our own horn, but it was good.
I'm looking forward to hearing the end product.
Yeah. Me too, actually.
Well, I've already edited.
Like the first one. Anyway, so and now we've got that promotion that you guys demanded for being part of the video out of the way. We're here on a very auspicious day because it's quite an exciting day, really, because we've had another release announcement in this very, very steady drip feed of news for the Middle-earth strategy battle game, and today we've had Arnor releases, and not just that, but I believe the first named character that has been designed for the Middle-earth strategy battle game since probably Grimbayon, or some of the other Easterling characters and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, we've had nothing in the last year, so this is quite an exciting day in terms of heroes. I mean,
is that a year?
Yeah, it's over a year. Because there was nothing last year at all, apart from the.
What was the ring wraith?
It's a diorama.
Yeah, but we already knew what ring wraiths were, and it was just a diorama. And then we had the King of the Dead in see-through plastic, if you really want to get technical. But
because the starter set, right? This edition starter set was 2022, September 2022, or
Skillia's set was December 22. So it's been a long time.
It's a drought. Anyway,
yeah. So it's very exciting. So obviously, if people want to, I mean, I can't see any comments at the moment. I don't know whether that's because people hate me or because
I can see loads.
Oh,
yeah, they're coming in.
Okay, well, that means that's not good for me because it means that my streaming software isn't working. Okay. Oh, that's fine. So, crumbs. Yeah, I'll go on the actual. I'll just have the live stream on another channel. But anyway, so hello to everyone. Do drop your. I see why, because it thinks it's a private video because I edited it afterwards. I assume that means that everyone can see it somehow. Anyway, there's something gone wrong. I'll be able to see it. So, let me know in the comments, first of all, excitement over this, because let's have a quick look.
Has he just kicked himself from the stream?
I think he has.
Or we could see anything.
He's okay, guys. So what's happened here is Harry has managed to leave his own stream, which means we're in command now. Oh shit!
I don't know what happened there. I think this stupid mouse. I've got one of these Apple Mac mice, and it just, if you sweep to the left, it just closes the window, which is really stupid.
We were very excited at the opportunity to just tank your entire streaming career.
If anything, I think it would have just improved. So, but let's have a look at the Arnor hero, which is the one image I didn't load into the thing. So that's very exciting. So here we go. We've got an Arnor. I know this is such quality preparation here. Here we go. So here it is. So this is the new Arnor hero, and just to clarify the name, it is Argadir, Argadir, and he is described as King Arvedwy's most trusted captain, and he is a master tactician and the most skilled rider within the armies of Arnor. Defense 7, fight 5, 2 attacks, with Master of Battle 5+. So here he is, the new beast for the Arnor army. I mean, initial reaction. No, but I'm going to guess. I would guess that, but it doesn't actually specifically say that. He is an expert rider, but it doesn't actually say. It might even just be 2 might, but because he's already got Master of Battle, so. I don't know. I guess that's the sort of speculation that we'd like to open up.
It's power creep that they're used to doing, like Ratabi, it'll be 3.
Oh, a little bit of shade there.
Let's get that salt sprinkled in.
Yeah, just go on. Something different. Again.
Well, okay. So go on, J Mac. Get your knife stuck in there because you seem unhappy.
It looks amazing. I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm more any new content. I am all over. I just think. The last 4 armies have had Master of Battle that they've released. Surely there's something different they could have thought of.
Well, I mean, Easterlings have it, so I get your criticism there. The Beornings didn't, though.
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, ignore me. That's me.
Rather than the last 4 armies, one of the last 4 armies had it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, but I see your point that it's a regular rule, and it would be nice, I guess, to see something a bit different, but. I mean, it's still a cool rule, and it's on a 5.
I think it definitely fixes like the issues of Arnor. Like it's going to give them movement. I think does he have March?
If he's a captain, I would guess so, but it doesn't have any of the. It doesn't have the full profile. It just hints at the profile. Otherwise, we just wouldn't buy the book, would we? So, yeah.
Like you wouldn't. I don't see you leaving home without him if he's got Master Battle in March. It also gives the possibility of doing a fully mounted Arnor army, which would be really cool.
It would be. That would be really cool.
And I'm hoping he's Valor, so I can ally him into Khazad. And then I've got Khazad with Master of Battle.
Interesting. God, see, you're really
fight 4 spears behind with my dwarfs.
Wow, you're really thinking about this. I just thought
the right guy to invite on. I thought he looked nice.
Yeah, well, go on then, Alex. What's your assessment?
I told you, he looks nice.
Is that it?
It's about as in depth as it gets.
Can you not get any more insight than that?
Okay, right, let me do my best. So
it looks good.
He does look absolutely smashing. They've absolutely knocked out the park with the quality in the pose.
Yeah.
I've got no comments at all, which is rare because I'm extremely picky when it comes to
even the horse pose. It's like.
I'll come on to I have a slight criticism about the horse pose in a second, but do go on.
Okay. Is it because he's got a sort of Elvis quiff?
I thought it was an emo fringe, but yes. Well, my criticism, there's something about the face of the horse that I'm not that. It reminds me, there's an animated DreamWorks film. I think it was like Spirit or something, and it was a really naff looking horse head. And I feel like that, but the angle isn't ideal. So I mean, it'd be better to.
Also, single picture. There's so many models that Games Workshop released. I'm like, that is a goofy mini. And then I see it in my hand. It's like, no, it's a fantastic miniature. There's just something about that particular angle.
Has he got a shield? Can you put? Is it behind his back? Like you can just see the bottom.
He does.
I
mean, he's described as being defense 7. So if he's not,
you can kind of see it. See where his arm is on his sword.
Yeah. He's got a shield on his back. He really does.
Tactical rock that we all love.
Oh yes, indeed.
At least that's an unassuming tactical rock. I can tolerate that level of rocky.
For more information about tactical rocks, listen to the next episode of Cast It Into the Fire. So there you go. So I'm guessing, annoyingly, I cannot. I think it's because I originally I had this live stream planned yesterday, but didn't make it public until today because I wasn't sure whether we'd actually get the release today. But I was pretty confident, so I set up the stream in advance. But that means I can't get the comments on the screen, which is very annoying because that's one of the reasons I pay for this software, even though I only stream once every 6 months. But I'm going to read through a few people's comments. Frederick Schultz is in the building. Hello, Frederick. Gayton's in. Good evening. Ewing. Fine evening in Denmark. Pleased to spend it with you. Thank you very much. Mr. Gingy says, heyo. Frederick Schultz says, a very international audience already. Is it the dogging content or the potential inside sources that draws us here? That's a very good question. Well, I did actually, I didn't reveal it anywhere because I found it out quite late. But you guys might be willing to attest that I did have an inside line on the name of the new character. But hey-ho. Tom Maynard's in.
Just a flex there.
Yeah,
flex.
Little flex. And done. Michael Haskell's in. Good evening, Michael. Looking forward to seeing you in Seven Stones in a few weeks. Mr. Gingy says the 3 hunters all together. I guess that's us. Is that us, guys?
3 munters. Either.
Who's who?
3 munters.
Oh.
In fact, someone says a couple of quotes down, you mean the 3 munters, surely, says Future. So great work. Yeah, we can decide who gets to be which later on in the podcast. Maybe put your vote in now. You're not Legolas.
I just wanted to get in there before you said fucking Gimli.
Yes, I suppose. Sean Clark says, my brain turns off with most podcasts. In John and Alex's podcast, my brain had never been more alert, trying to work out who won and how. Shade thrown already there from Sean. Flying Mammal says, waves. I assume he means I'm waving. Louis Van Heck says, hello, everyone. Frederick Schultz says Ent product. The first episode was really good. Listen, says Mr. Gingy. J Max Armies of Middle Earth is commenting on our video. Great. I like your new podcast, says everyone. Enter the 3 MESBG tiers. Very good, says Tom Marshall. Minquisitor says hello. Lawforge is in. Oh my god, it's just the comments have just jumped. Where is it? Oh, okay. Everyone's talking about the technical issues. Apparently, I put the ring on. Sean Clark Sean Clark says he wanted to play Arnor from when I first started playing SBG, but it wasn't in stock. And I'm multiple armies in now, and I get to play them! ! I'd say that's a good point. I'll pause it there because I'm interested in what your guys' thoughts on Arnor generally are. Because I mean, I'm not a I mean not necessarily as an army, but as in terms of the rules, but. Are you excited by the prospect of using them in games, Alex?
Yes, as long as there's more coming than what's been announced. Like, I don't think I would invest in an Arnor army with the limited range that's available. Like, there's not a lot of ways to play them, and they don't have many ally options. So I've never thought. I've always liked thought of them, but I've not really ever thought that I would want to invest that much time in something so inflexible. So if it's just like you get your new captain and some new knights, no, I'd have no interest really.
I think the previous, like, because up until now they've just had the one model. I mean, yeah, they've had some heroes, but it's just been Warriors of Arnor, which I just can't will myself, or haven't been able to will myself to get excited by painting 20, 30 of them.
Particularly when it's a similar experience to a lot of other armies.
Oh, sorry, Jamie.
So Arvaduian, like, you can ally. He's Valor, so you can ally him into yellow above.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, consider. I've seen some people doing with elves and stuff. But...
It's like just cheap fight 4 spears for like dwarfs. It's quite good.
So have you used them a lot then, John?
Not recently, but I used to use them with my dwarfs like years ago.
So here's my question: why are Warriors of Arnor Courage 2? What's going on with Arnor Courage?
I guess it's because they're up near Angmar,
but they're like it's
braver.
Like one of the mightiest kingdoms and an army that was when gathered nigh on unbeatable. But they've got Orc Courage.
Well,
yeah, I don't understand. And the Captain Courage 3.
I think when they did the original supplement, it was based around like the very final battle. And
that's probably right. So
it's like their courage is already gone, and it also represents there's like Rudar and all that. They were pretty cowardly, were they not? Like one of the factions that split off.
Because all their special rules are around boosting courage. So I just think it's a weird thing to be like, right, we'll make it so that their thing is both being very low courage. I think the only human faction with Courage 2 base warriors and Courage 3 captains, and yet simultaneously make it so that all their special rules are around boosting courage. It's mixed signals, mixed messages.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm scrolling, looking through the old Ruin and Arnor PDF at the moment, and it says on the Captain of Arnor that it says years of constant war have taken their toll on the commanders of Arnor's armies, with too many novice commanders promoted too soon. Fortunately, battle teaches the most important lessons swiftly, and what Arnor's captains lack for an experience of command, they make up for in raw fighting skills. So I guess that the idea is that they're so beset by the war against Angmar for so long that it's been rough.
You don't have the original White Dwarf piece as well. I remember it was all about, it's like the final battle, and that's when they released it, and it was to do with the very last battle, and they were like, oh shit, the king's dead.
So the warrior bit we can see on screen here, it says all that remains of the once proud armies of Arnor. These warriors are by necessity veterans of the wars with Angmar, though their spirit is all but broken. The warriors of Arnor are a match for almost anything the Witch King can muster against them. So their spirit has been broken by a long time fighting, which I quite like that idea. I think that now I've read that again. Yeah. It's quite nice, and I hopefully that'll be a bit more.
Retract all my implicit criticism.
Well, it'd be cool if they also have like legendary legends from like Arnor, like in its maybe height, or like when they allied with.
I think it's almost
like that.
I think it's almost guaranteed, right? I mean, we're going to get a book of Arnor and Angmar and. Hello.
Hi.
No, I'm still streaming.
Sorry. So we'll basically the so distracting, but it doesn't matter.
My dog, can you hear the dog?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely.
Oh yeah, she came in earlier and was like,
yeah. I mean, there's no editing this stuff out. But
sorry.
No, I hope you've got your pants on. Yeah, you do. But yeah, no, I mean that writing because I think that original supplement was Matt Ward, and sometimes I think he's criticised and derided for being one of the sort of worst writers the Lord of the Rings game had. But actually, that explanation all makes quite a lot of sense to me, and I really like the theme behind it. And I always used to really love and I know they're controversial, the helmets with the plumes around the heads. So I quite enjoy that, and I've always wanted them, and I have still got. I think 3 Arnor warriors that I bought very, very early on in the thing, but I couldn't afford to have a whole army. So the idea that they're going to now fill up and have a bit more, cavalry, for example.
Maybe mid to order metals, I think.
I think they're going to just come back to the range. I can't see them being just made to order, because if you're going to back
all these models,
you're going to sell these new models if people can't buy the troops. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and it's just asking for people to say 3D printer goes brr. But
there's one in every thread.
Oh, literally every thread. But I mean, those I think those cavalry look really cool.
Awesome, yeah.
The horses look amazing. The
Do we know whether they're plastic or resin? Sorry, to
they're definitely
Resin.
forged with resin. Yeah,
so that's my only concern. Is it going to be those
horses.
2 horses over and over and over again?
Well, I don't. I think that you'll be able to. I suspect you're right in a way, but yeah, I didn't really think about that. But you'll probably be able to.
The arms are posable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, posable arms.
Yeah.
Posable heads, different heads, perhaps. Because it'd be annoying if they all had that same little weird beard.
Yeah.
But sorry, what was that, Alex?
Sorry, I just said a few little things like that will make a world of difference. I'm concerned about the idea that it's literally there's just 2 horse sculpts. Yeah.
Yeah, but then
like Dunland.
yeah, but often in these sorts of armies, you don't really want like a horde of cavalry.
Yeah. It's
So
a skirmish game, so
Yeah, having like
unless you want to go full cav.
Yeah. But yeah, either then you wouldn't have Arvidui. He hasn't got cavalry, so I can see. But either way, it's certainly interesting. Anyway, I'll dip back into the comments for a second. So someone's saying Frederick says controversial opinion. The normal cav somehow looks cooler than the hero. What do you guys think of that?
I don't think I.
What did you say, sorry?
He says he thinks the cavalry look cooler than the hero.
Ooh.
I don't.
I think both.
Yeah, I do like both, but there's something about the wintry cloak that I really like there. It makes a lot of sense as well.
I mean, they both do the job they're supposed to do, right? Because you wouldn't want all your cavalry to be that involved because it'd be an absolute nightmare to paint. But you also, I mean, the wintry cloak, and he really stands out and strikes a imposing figure.
I always wished. Oh, sorry.
No, carry on, John.
I was going to say, I always wish the Arnor had the same kind of pauldrons on the shoulders as the Gondorians.
Yeah, it's a bit more kind of just the chainmail, isn't it? But I do
have
think,
to be different.
Yeah, I do think the pose does it feels a little bit cookie cutter, if I want to say, the foot model pose. He reminds me a lot of Elfhelm. I might find an image if I have time to, but he does remind me a lot of the
Arnor's for long the fat.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's not a lot of poses you can do for that sort of stuff, but he does just it kind of reminds me a little bit, and now I've thought of it, I can't help but think, I wish.
It's interesting that because he does look a bit like the Elfhelm model, but I really don't like the Elfhelm dismount.
Right.
It's an odd model. I think it's its face and his hair mainly. Yeah, there he is. Look at it. What is happening to his hair? It's like
it's blowing in the wind, isn't it?
It doesn't look like it. There's no motion to it. It's just like 2 slabs of butter placed on top of each other. Whereas I love this, whoever the hell this guy is.
Yeah, he is better actually. This guy. Yeah,
you can. I don't know how old Elfhelm is, but there looks like there's a lot of development in there.
Yeah.
Like, wear your helmet in a battle.
Yeah. There's that. There is that as well. Interesting. A nice comment though, Frederick. Thank you very much for assessing what you think. Let's see what else we got. I'll try and whack through a few of these comments because there's quite a lot. Technical issues they're talking about. Oh crap! It's just jumped again. There's loads of people commenting.
Oh no! Now I can't read out all the technical issues.
Gollum's Gamers says we got the pronunciation right at least. Well, what did I say? Arga. I said Argadir, didn't I? Did I not? I mean, I don't know how else you pronounce it. So if it's not that, then tell me I'm wrong. Hello, Gollum Gamers. Of course, we were the first people on YouTube to react to the video, but that doesn't mean that they had the best reaction. So
Noobs and Men were first. Noobs and Men were before Gollum's Gamers.
Oh, were they? Did they do one before Gollum's Gamers again?
Yeah.
So nice. Yes, my lord says. Sorry, guys. Yes, my lord. My guess is that the teaser for the next model is a new Gulliver sculpt holding a torn Arnor. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but it's a good idea. Great model, but I find the Master of Battle rule is kind of just slapped on, says Lawforge. Foehammer Master of Battle will give him better utility for leading a charge with only 2 might. Yeah, that's if he has only 2 might. I think he probably will just have 2. Frederick Schultz thinks he's just a fortitude model. I would think. I kind of agree with that because if your leader is Valor, having the second tier hero the same level as him seems unlikely. Legend. He could be in a legion or something that can become legend, I guess. But then
a few that are Valor.
Maybe
Thaedred's Guard.
Yeah, I guess.
Power.
But it's different when it's a king and a captain that's done well.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably just be a fortitude. But hey. Shield on the back on the foot mini, says Frederick. Yeah, he has a shield. They mentioned it in the article. Tactical Roctitude, says Minquisitor. Not very tactical, that rock. How do the new models round out Arnor successfully? What are still their biggest weaknesses, says Jomp Plunkett, and can we expect the rest of the army back in circulation along with the new models? I mean, I think we've kind of touched on those points, but I think yes, I definitely think that the rest of the Arnor models will be back in full circulation. Whether they'll remain in stock for long is a very different question. But do you think what do you think? I mean, J-Mac, you seem to have a better insight into the sort of quality of the army as a whole. Do you think cavalry and
I think they're really strong. I think the one thing they suffered was movement. They didn't have march. Now they've got potentially, if he has march, he's got march. You've got cav for objectives. Just what's one of their most glaring weaknesses was that. What else were they weak for?
Courage, but they had the fearless bubble, I suppose. So
yeah, if they bring out I don't know, something that sorts that, then they might be extremely overpowered. They probably will be, to be honest. They're already quite strong at the moment, and then if you slap in a captain with Master of Battle, say in March,
I suppose that courage thing is still going to be the biggest thing. And if you've got more cavalry perhaps in your army, then you've got to still fit everything into the 6-inch bubble, so it might be a bit harder. So I don't know. I still think it's going to be tricky because Courage 2 is just so crap.
It depends on what the next profiles are. If they bring out something that fixes that courage thing,
I can't see them doing that.
I think maybe a Warhorn or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Alex, what do you think? What do you think of the tactical weaknesses of the Arnor army?
Well, the problem these days with the Arnors is obviously you've got lots of spikes and pikes, but they really struggle with the movement, as John was saying. I'd agree and second everything that John was saying about Arnor.
Yeah.
They're going to really, I think, having Lords of Battle is going to be great for them to have that and do moving. They
can do moving. I agree. They
can. Yeah, I think it's going to be extraordinary change to the scene.
I totally agree. Interesting analysis there, Alex. Nice work. Let's.
I really hope the new captain's Valor. I've got some interesting alliances I want to do.
I think you might be. That might be some wishful thinking.
Yes,
I think it might. Yeah.
So,
John,
on that point, are there any other named captains who are
in Arnor?
No,
in
Arnor
Kings.
specifically.
You've got the Kings and the Sons.
Sorry. I'm trying to think of other miniatures whose fluff is similar. You know, captains risen through the ranks who have a named profile, and whether any of them have been placed in Valor.
I think you're probably right. Actually, they're mostly going to be I'm thinking. Yeah, Kyrian, he's Fortitude, isn't he? And Elf Helms and your Elf Helms, even your Daewine, I think is a Fortitude as well. So it doesn't. Huron, but he's he's Warden of the Keys or something, isn't he? So he's got a nice named message.
He's got keys, John. He's got keys.
He's got the keys.
Yeah.
That's a lot if you get that reference.
Absolutely. Interesting, though. Interesting. There's another question from Jomp. I didn't notice this. There's a few points down. Can Arnor now be taken at higher points levels and be competitive alongside big heroes and other tools of other armies that appear at higher points? I think that it probably won't help that much. And my reasoning is thus, depending on whether there are more heroes added or not. I think the issue with Arnor still is that your big hitter hero is on foot and only 5 from memory. So he's the only striker. And I doubt this guy's going to have strike. If he does, it'll be an unusual captain. But he might be. But I suspect he'll either have defense or march, maybe both. But I think it's still going to be capping out at the sort of 600-700 mark. But I guess the added cavalry may add a bit more. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I wonder whether one thing. Hey, I've got a serious point to make.
Okay.
I mean, what do you think the prospects are of the king getting a horse if they announce more? Because that model is old.
It is.
It's not impossible that he gets a new one. And if they did, they could do him foot and mounted. Because that would be... Because that makes a difference. Like the biggest hero, that they have available.
I think it's unlikely, and I think the only reason is that the only heroes that they have gone back to redesign are ones that you've seen in the film, and they've done as a very special plastic model. And I think the only example we've got of anything that's been redesigned is probably the Galadrim Courtyard. And I think from memory, and I may well be completely wrong about this, I think it might be just that that they had they'd done something gone wrong with the molds or something like that, and that's never going to be an actual fact based on because GW would never say that. But I have a feeling that I've heard whispers about that, which might explain it. And that's the only one that they've redesigned. So I think they're trying to make new things to add to the existing line in the hope that it will encourage people to go back and buy the metal model. So in a roundabout way, I don't think they're going to do a plastic horse or a new hero. What do you think, J-Mac?
Sorry, I just muted myself. Yeah, I don't think they'll give him a horse. Sadly, I hope they do, but I don't think they will.
It would make him a lot better. But the profile exists in the army book without a horse. So and it's again,
they would change it.
Yeah, they won't add something to a profile.
I can't think of something where they have done that.
No, I don't think. No, it's only
because he's not that expensive, but he's also I can't unless I'm missing something. I don't see why he's particularly fantastic.
Arvidwy?
Yeah.
He gives them the fearless bubble basically.
He does, fearless bubble. But that's another annoying thing, isn't it? Because you're getting this new named hero. You might want to play it a bit differently, but they've got one of those army bonuses that's focused entirely on a single character. So you're never going to not want. So if an all-mounted Arnor list is going to really struggle because you're going to leave the king behind, and then you've lost your one big bonus. And if you wanted to drop him, unless there's particular, there might be a legion, I guess, with the named captain whose name I've already gotten in, where it gives, transplants that bonus over to the captain. But otherwise, it's still a really inflexible way to play them, right?
I would guess so, yeah. But I mean, it's hard to know. All of this is very much theory hammer, isn't it? So it's hard to know. But I think it probably.
I'm just trying to sound like I have something incisive to say.
Yeah, I think it depends on what the next announcements are. Get some different new captains and stuff.
I mean, that might be it, though, right? It could be it.
Because I think we'll get some of the earlier kings. Like that's something I really wish they'd done with Gondor, like they did with Rohan, because Rohan's got 3 different eras. There's Helm, there's Arrow, and the modern Rohan, whereas the Gondor have just got now modern Rohan. Sorry, it'd be great to have different eras, like the ship kings of Gondor, and then.
Yeah,
like through the ages.
Because they've got the Kings of Men, which is a very generic. It's kind of doing the old kings dirty a bit, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but at this pace, at this snail's pace, I'm not sure we're going to see the ship kings of Gondor anytime soon.
Yes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm going to waz through a load of comments briefly. Just so that we can catch up with what people have asked, and then we can have a little bit of a speculate about the new stuff. So Frederick Schultz says Arnor with a black colour scheme would probably look cooler. I mean, yeah, I think they would look pretty cool, to be fair. Lawforge says they've always been a one-trick pony. I've seen some interesting ally lists, but I feel an army should be able to be played 2 different ways. Courage 2 due to years of trauma from Angmar. Yeah. J-Mac has it right. They represent the Raid of Ardu in the Last Stand. So this is answering all those queries we had earlier. Where have we lost? They do look cool in black, Frederick, like the old artwork. Higher fight below, Courage and Minas Tirith. What bonuses or changes will a Legion apply, says Jomp. Jomp's providing all the great questions to prompt us.
I feel like you planted him in order to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, they're actually all just me. Jomp is absolutely knocking them out of the park. I think I like a Legion. It's difficult, isn't it? Because the special rules are very strange in Arnor as it is, because they've got the bubble of effect from Arvidwy, they've got a bubble of effect from Malbeth, and then now they've got a Master of Battle thing. I kind of think a Legion. What could they possibly do to make it more sort of thematic than it already is? It's got Hatred Angmar. They've got so they've got stuff. Maybe they could introduce something to be more thematically easy to fight, spooky stuff.
But are there any legions now that draw from such a limited roster anyway? Because the difficulty is they're just taking. What are they going to leave out of that army list? It's just going to be like, we'll take the army list and give it some more rules, or take the Legion. I can't see without some more, unless it's going to be the kind of thing where they're drawing models in, like elves, for example. From
nice.
I was going to say
London.
Well, I was going to say, if you've got, because you know a lot more about the lore than either of us, I think, John.
Well, there's so much in Arnor. You could have Arnor and Lothlorien. You could have Rivendell, Lothlorien, Arnor, like London, Círdan. I see a fighting Círdan model would be cool, like leading the armies of London. That would be awesome.
And an elf-led legion at last.
Well, yeah, I mean, using that as a sort of baseline concept, you could potentially have a legion where you bring in the Círdan model, where he doesn't count as unarmed, and he counts a bit more like a sort of height of his powers,
like Celeborn.
Yeah, like a 3-attack version of Círdan who isn't unarmed, who doesn't count as unarmed, or something like that. That'd be quite cool. And Glorfindel is definitely involved in the old Arnor story, isn't he? Because it's a later different king to Arvedui, though, isn't it?
It's Arvedui's drowned, and it's the Gondorian king. It's the last king of Gondor. Aenor. He charges after the Witch King and then challenges the Witch King, but his horse shakes himself. So, and then Glorfindel comes up before anything happens, and the Witch King runs away. And that's when the prophecy happens.
Yeah.
And then, 75 years later, the king's so raging that his horse ran away. He goes off to Minas Morgul and gets killed.
I have to say, I love how you summarize Lord of the Rings lore. It's too bad.
His horse shot itself.
I mean, he's raging. He's been raging for years.
It's great. It is great. Let's carry on. Minquisitor says Matt Ward boo. Lawforge says never say Matt Ward's name 3 times. Minquisitor says I don't really know what's wrong with him, but internet doesn't like him. That's true. Lawforge says poor rules writer or more favourable rules writer to certain factions. Interesting that you people have such interesting opinions about Matt Ward.
You just said it 3 times.
Uh-huh.
Those 2 horses over and over again also plays Rohan. Yeah, and at least
I knew someone was going to say that. But Rohan, you've got all the different riders, and it is a problem. It is a problem with Rohan as well. But a few things. First, you've got a lot of different mounted heroes in order to kind of mix them up. You've got 2 different kinds of warrior, and you've got a lot of different riders, which you can mix and match, which changes them up a bit. But it is a problem, and that's part of why I'm so traumatized about this. The idea of having a new army where you might want to rank a whole mounted force with 12 of horse A and 12 of horse B is a bit of a grueling thought.
I've also had now looking at a second look at this, which I didn't notice first time, is that one of these cavalry models has only 1 contact point, which is a little bit concerning.
Oh no!
It does look like it's just 1 leg on the floor on the one on the left on the tan horse. Although I think
that's something to that big long flat bit or something.
Yeah, I think it's got one of those little mounts or mounds.
I feel like that back foot is actually touching the grass. I think it's resin grass there.
Oh, maybe. Yeah,
it's still 1 point, just a bigger point.
It's a big, but still, it feels like that's going to be a little bit more.
Is it going to be a hex or is it going to be a circle?
Yeah, well, it'll probably be a hex supplied with a circular hole. This is usually the case. Let's carry on. What we got? Louis Van Hex says too many similar horses. Bring out the scalpel and convert them up. Yeah, fair point. Unfortunately for him, it's fashionable to hate Matt Ward even 15 years later. God, people really just took to the Matt Ward comment. But he also wrote some great books. Ratabi, exactly the same, exact same pose. His foot model looks like Duncan Rhodes' Sir Coates. I don't know I know Duncan Rhodes, but I don't know the reference to Sir Coates, I'm afraid. Captain Slabs of Butter. I don't know who these are referring to. I should really keep up the comments.
He said he had slabs of butter in his hair.
Oh, yes. Sorry, yes, you're right. Good shout. Now you say it, it does look like him. I think the tease is either Fornos veterans or another. We'll get to that in a second. Don't think we'll see an updated Gulliver if we're using the theory of Goldfish Blue getting his hands on releases early a few months back, says Sean Clark. Do we think Arnor will be the new meta, Hunslaw says. Okay, Hunslaw, do we think it's the new meta? I mean, I think Arnor have done very well in the hands of, granted, Jake Rawson, one of the best players in the league, who won a lot of tournaments with him at 600-ish points. Do we think we're going to see a lot more of them, though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, not knowing anything about the meta, but just seeing a lot more of them is obviously just a product of the fact they'll be the new fashionable thing and the only new fashionable thing for a long time. And it does seem to be the case that even when they're not particularly spicy, they filter up to the topper tables because people are just using them and getting them out on the table and occasionally doing well with them.
I think it tends to be the people that are better at the game have them because they go out their way to get them because they're quite good, if that makes sense. Like in the last 2 months, I've printed and painted 2 Arnor armies. Like I'm sitting at one.
Oh, what for? Are these because you do commissions, don't you? So are these for people who have sweaty people who might have predicted that the Arnor are going to be back in fashion?
Converted Arnor horses as well.
Right, so they're on it already. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know whether they'll be the meta. I think they'll be popular and they might do well. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think they're already quite good. And the big barrier to entry is still going to be either you have to print a load of them off, which some people don't like doing, or you've got to buy a load of old metal models, and Forge old metal models and Forge World models, which is all quite pricey, isn't it? But it's interesting. Thanks for the question, Hunsler 1006. Lawforge says they're a strong choice. We just don't see them due to the lack of availability in store. Yeah, I mean, at the moment they're not even on the website. I don't think they're certainly out of stock if they are. So that's a good point. And Grimdork Future says some astute observations from Alex there. I assume that was referring to your tactical acumen.
Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. Ewing, I don't know how to pronounce this. EIWEING says Glorfindel in armor was redesigned. That is true, but we never had a horse model for that. It was just the foot model. So I can see why they would do that. But yeah, it's a fair point.
But he always had a horse option.
He always had a horse option, but he always had the armor. The armored version was only available on foot, and they had a foot mounted non-armored version. So and then they added the new Forge World model with the armor.
So they still brought in a model to fit a profile that already worked in the book. That
is right. Yeah. So I guess but I see your point, Ewing. That's a good point. And improved, I might hear. Addy says, yeah, good boy. Or she says, beautiful. They say. Knights of the Lamroth on foot. Yeah, they do count, but they were a long time ago now. And yeah, okay, fair enough. People are pointing out errors. For God's sake, yeah. I clearly wasn't criticised by you guys, but everyone's pointing out things that did go wrong. Grishnak became Forge World, but they had no other too many blister pairings for him, and they did a new Snagger Mini to go with it. So I guess that's fair. I've lost it.
I was just trying to think. See, the whole courage thing, wasn't that just after the Great Plague as well?
I don't know. That's interesting if you knew that. There's a Dale Legendary Legion someone's mentioning. I can't remember what that was in reference to. Bjornings have a pretty small roster. Yeah, that is true. To answer Alex's questions on limited Legendary Legions.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Dare I say a Legendary Legion that gives Alvadui a horse? Who knows? I think we did talk about that. What good Legendary Legion would you like to see in this new book? I think we did touch on that, but we can go to that back in a minute. Thanks for that question, the Lawforge. Do you think we could get an Arnor Grey Company in between Legion, like them slowly turning into the Rangers and mixing profiles from both lists? What do you think about that? Because Arnor is like the Dunedain are essentially the last folk from Arnor, aren't they? So,
well, at this point, at the fall of Arnor, the part where the Rangers lived was like desolate. After the Great Plague, they never recovered from that. That's where the Barrow Downs are. That's where the Rangers used to chill. But then I can see Alex smiling already. See the place with the Barrow Downs. What's it called? I can't remember, but that's basically all the Barrow Down people are like Arnorian kind of ranger type folk.
Is it Fornost? Is that where?
No, it's further south than that.
Further south. I've got it. Oh, fucking hell!
Have you got a map? Could you bring up a map?
I do. Hold on.
It's like Carthadan or something.
It's not going to be big enough though. Hold on. It'll take me a while to get it. Map.
It was the province below Arnor.
This probably isn't going to be detailed enough. This map. But yeah, no, it's nowhere near enough detail. There's Weathertop.
Enhance. Zoom. Enhance.
I can't even see it on this. I can't even make out Brie on that. So, but anyway, yeah, you're right though, because if Fornost is just at the little mountainy bit just above, below the letters Arnor, if people are watching, and then the Old Forest is to the left of that, and the Barrow Downs are just above Weathertop, aren't they? Is that right? So it doesn't. Yeah, that map's not nowhere near detailed enough. But interesting idea though. I like the idea of the Rangers being.
If it's like if they do like the whole of Arnor, like this fall of Arnor's over like many centuries, I'd love to see them do different points in history. Like I really don't like when they go, you can't take this person with this person.
Mm-hmm.
I like if you can do that because then you can use the profiles for different, just because like you can pretend somebody's Aragon. If you know.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
We talked about that before. That really bugs me that the chronological restrictions, because I get that it's meant to keep your army themey, but then it's like, well, but then I'm going to be fighting against other armies that might not be from that time period and might not make any sense anyway.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And they have a habit of like not having the alliance matrix right at all. Like, so there's loads of mistakes in it.
Throwing some shade there. So let's see what. So what about this
Arnor,
idea?
for example?
This idea. I quite like this one though. This is Ewing says, so Arvidur leads the troops, Argadur leads the knights. Will we see a character, perhaps Prince Aranarth, to lead the Rangers?
That'd be nice.
That would be nice. I mean, I don't know who Prince Aranarth is, but the logic in your argument sounds really good.
See, actually, and that because people have been debating about why the next preview is, and I know we're going to do speculation in a bit, but is an Arnor cloak, but that's tattered and torn. And a lot of people have been saying, well, it's probably some dead Arnorian on the base of
I hope not. I hate that.
No, I hope that's not the case. We've obviously covered our views on basing, but of course it could.
In our podcast.
In our podcast, if you want to hear about what should go on bases, but
I should have had heroed helmets heroes without helmets. That would have been a perfect thing for my.
Anyway, they haven't heard it yet, so we can't literally sidetrack into.
Yeah, now everyone is going to be listening to your podcast that's yet to be released and shouting at you, J-Matt, saying, "Why didn't you think of that?"
But perhaps it's. I was going to say perhaps it's a Ranger cloak, but actually now that I've looked back at it, probably not. But it would give some reasons why it'd be tattered and torn.
Yeah, I do want to. Let's just bash through the last question. So, most important, will we see an Arnor Hobbit captain? That's a good question. True of
class.
Combine the horses. Someone mentioned you can combine horses for Rohan and Minas Tirith, which makes them a bit more interesting. I wish GW would make some new and more structurally sound horses for the Rohirrim. Yes, absolutely. Totally agree with that, Tom. Tom Marshall's been in touch. Hobbit captain that provides some sort of additional options like ambush would be really cool to add, says Ewing. I would like to see Arvidur's son as a ranger hero with strike. Frederick Schultz says, do we think the chances are of the new Forge World Resin Arnor foot warriors like Black Dragons? I think it's unlikely that they're going to redesign and go out so much effort to redesign the base troops of a thing.
I think he means just like a kind of a more elite troop.
Yeah. Do you think? Oh, so
like a Black Dragon.
Yeah, so maybe an upgrade. Yeah, an elite troop. I wouldn't be. Yeah, okay, maybe an elite troop. It could be that.
I'd love that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I don't know what you would do, but.
And who else says? I think
the trend at the moment was at 2 attack hero, like single units.
Yeah,
like Hunter Orcs or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Like
and I think
Ranger.
that comes to the bottom of the things as I see it at the moment. So that's good.
That's out of the way.
That's good.
That's good. So that means
with chat.
So now people can speculate on this. So we have had it on the screen a couple of times. So I've put it in as a flag. I think it is I don't know. It's definitely the Arnor logo.
It's got stars on this one.
No stars. So how different is it to the shields? So we can't see the stars, but there's the potential for the stars to be there. If you look at these, the horse head, that's not quite the same. But yeah, if you look at that to me looks like the center of this shield. But as you say, with no stars on the outside, but it might just be that it's too tattered.
It looks like a new command set. It'd be nice.
It could be.
Why the tearing? Why? I mean, that is it's a real departure from the aesthetic we've seen in the other.
Well, as you said, it's at the end of a long war. Like.
Yeah, they're either. So there's two options, I think. One which I won't take credit for, but the first one, I think it could just be another hero who is tattered and torn after long years of battling, which is kind of cool. I like the idea that it's a ragged person who's at the end of their life. But I've seen a suggestion online. I think it was Dan Stewart from the Drawn Combat guys who said he thinks, is this an Angmar hero who has stolen a flag or is using a flag or has claimed an Arnor flag in some way, shape, or form. What
like
do we
a
think
new
about
birder
it?
model.
Yeah, like a birder or like I don't know, just something like
Have a troll wearing that as a cape.
It could be
something.
a dead. It could be an orc wearing an Angmar cape. A flag as a cape. I don't know. I love the idea of that. I think that's quite a cool idea. So I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, what do you think of the theory that there's a hand? If you put the picture back up,
yeah.
Do you see on the left hand, top left? There's right. You don't think that's a hand?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know. It doesn't look like a hand to me.
If it's an orc
it
or
could
something,
be.
I don't like it.
It could be, but I don't think it's a hand. I don't think so. What do you say?
I don't like that if it's like an orc or something, because then if he's wearing an Arnor flag, then he's in the Battle of Arnor, and then if I can't have, I don't like it being stuck in one place.
Yeah, agree.
If it was subtle though, if it's just him like wearing it as a cape, I don't mind that so much. That's kind of cool. Like not unlike I don't know, Azog has like orc faces on his cloak thing, doesn't he? Or like dead people's faces or something on his like loincloth. Or is it someone else? I can't remember. Someone has that like faces, and that's kind of cool. If it's just a subtle design thing, I don't mind that. But as long as it's not, if it's them holding a flag, you know, then that would be a little less cool. But I kind of like that concept. I don't know. What do we think though? What were your ideas for this?
I don't think it's just a miniature for Arnor, like another hero that's battle worn, because that's the point with all of them, right? You know what you said, like, you know, they've been in the battle and at the end of life. That's exactly what the article says about the captain that's just been released, and he's immaculate. It would be a bit weird if like one of them just completely broke and departed from the aesthetic of the hero, which makes me feel like either there is going to be a very specific reason why this model itself is tattered and haggard, or it is an Arnor. Angmar, excuse me. Yeah, God, I know. Yeah, one of the baddies.
And I don't think it's. I mean, it seems unlikely that they. I mean, it could be that they've got the horse first, and then the Arnor banner tease, and then they've gone this. So it doesn't.
Why would they do another banner?
Yeah, I mean, it's unlikely to be another banner. Right?
It's a bit big for a banner as well. I like someone said in the chat like Isgiliath veterans type.
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah, Arnor veterans. Cool. I think someone said that.
That would be really cool. I'd like that.
Yeah,
no, I hope they're not done. That's what if there's more Arnor stuff, that's what I want, because this is going to be a full army that is going to be popular and they're going to draw on for Legend Legions and all the things we've talked about today. An elite troops choice, elite warrior.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So E-Wings said an elite troop with courage 3, with a sticky out your face, sticky out your tongue, which is quite amusing. I like that. Frederick Schultz actually did mean to get a redo of basic Arnor warriors in Forge World, so they're not metal. Which fair enough. They did do that with the Forge World models for the Landroth.
I think it might be like something like a sentinel, like 2 attack type ranger, maybe
could
like because if you look at all the kind of newer armies, there's like acolytes added, like 2 attack things.
There's someone says a speculation, a veteran troop, a named hero, or maybe undead Arnor. Undead Arnor's an intriguing suggestion. Could it be like a? I mean, I'm immediately thinking the Game of Thrones character Uncle Benjen when he comes back from the dead and he's got like he's good but he's also dead somehow. I kind of like that idea. I'd be surprised if it's that, but it's a cool idea. First generation ranger, perhaps. Is it a Hobbit picnic blanket? Says Minquisitor. I like that. New Angmar hero. I'm convinced that I see a hand at the top. Says Sean. Someone pointed out there's a hand hanging down, mostly out of sight to the upper left, so they're likely human, unless it's a human in the clutches of some big monster. That's a cool idea. I don't think it looks like on a big screen. It just doesn't look like a hand to me. I mean, it's not impossible. I see what people are saying, but I'm not quite sure. Someone says, is it a ranger hero or something evil? A named spirit hero akin to Karsh from the Battle for Middle Earth?
Oh, like a named Barrow-wight.
Yeah, could be a named Barrow-wight. Cool. Yeah.
I don't know why it would have an armor.
Awesome.
What was that? Sorry, Alex.
It would just be that would be very, very cool.
It would. I like that.
Not
idea.
that they're not strong enough as it is, but I don't know like why would a named Barrowweight have a Arnor flag?
I think that's the thing. The flag bit just it is. I like the idea of it being incorporated into an evil character, but I think it's probably more likely to be a dying or sort of battle hardened Arnor hero of some sort. Someone says, Jomp says it's definitely a hand. A Spirit Angmar model would be cool, like Dead Marsh Spectres. Iwing says, I'd love some Cardland veterans, but I don't believe this teaser is it.
That would be cool.
But they already have that kind of stuff, so it would be derivative. I don't know which one Jomp's referring to there. Could it be Arnor-style Dead Spectres? Maybe it's the Arnor Queen, but a spirit like Lady Stoneheart from Game of Thrones. Barrow-wights were once Arnor novels? No, I assume that's...
Nobles, I think.
What did you say? Nobles, yeah, it'd be nobles, that's right. I like the idea of an Arnor Queen, but I mean, I think it'd be surprising if they don't do female characters again. Because that's just kind of the way they're going these days, to have a bit more equality and stuff. So, but I can't see it being. It just looks. I don't know. It's the placement of where the logo is that's getting to me. It doesn't look like a normal place for the logo to be.
No, it's quite like right at the end. Normally it's kind of up the top.
It's very, very intriguing. But either way, I mean, look. I'll be first to say in the last few months.
Armor Terrain.
Arnold Terrain? Could be. Would they have a flag in it? Maybe. I don't know. But I think in the last few months, I've sort of been less motivated in the old SBG hobby, and it's really nice to see some new releases to get excited about. I mean, I'm certainly not going to. Well, I might do, but I'm not desperate to jump in the bandwagon and start playing Arnor. But it'll be great to see some people using them at the tabletops, just a little bit of extra variety. I don't know what you guys think to that.
I'm a big believer in the fact that the idea that you don't have to be excited to buy the miniature to be really excited about the fact that it exists.
Yeah, more support for the game.
Yeah, more support for the game. And also sometimes there are armies that I'm not particularly interested in, but I'm really excited to play against because I think they're thinking matchups for my armies and they'll look cool. And a bit, examples in other games like 40k, I always like it when Tyranids and Orcs get stuff because I think they're really fun opponents. But I'm never going to get into them myself. But it's still kind of cool they're there.
Yeah.
So I think this Arnor's one that again I'm not particularly interested in buying myself. But it's really nice to see that the game's just getting anything.
And after such a drought as well, like we're getting on for a year and a half, and we still haven't had anything actually released. So it could be. I mean, it could even be September by the time this is coming out because they're releasing a teaser per month.
I know. Yeah, you get
models.
No, you get a picture for a month, and then you get one model.
I'd take that over nothing.
I totally agree. I'm glad they're doing it like this rather than I think Defense of the North. They've just released all the models, and then the book came out a bit later. Like they had Borgir and Ratabi for a while, and then we had. The Dragon Emperor, and then the book came out, and then the Bjornings, or I can't remember which order it was, but something like that. I'm more excited to know some of the stuff, and then the book to come out, and all the stuff to be released at once, and it's like, exciting. Whether that makes more sense.
What's your thoughts on? I was listening to the Jollums Dreamers podcast earlier, and they were saying, would you rather like a new supplement, or would you rather they just went back and redid all the old like Lord of the Rings heroes to bring them all?
I'm a big believer in
Gandalf good and
I'm quite happy with the existing thing. I want more new stuff. I just want new things.
Do you know like Gandalf the White to be good?
No, Gandalf the White's great. He's one of the best casters in the game. He's got fighting ability. I've done really well with him at tournaments. It's just get good, So no, but
it's a skill issue.
It is a skill issue. No, I think. Personally, I think just adding more stuff to the game can help balance stuff, and it can help make other models that.
Yeah, but I think the meta is just going to. It's just a cycle. Like
yeah, exactly. But
like King Saladin, and then people bring crossbows, and then it just goes round and.
But then, as soon as you add something like this in, if you add Arnor Cavalry in, suddenly a lot of people are going to be playing Arnor, and then people will.
Yeah, but they're already in the cycle.
They were a little bit, but they weren't like. I mean, I've only ever played against a couple of people with them. I mean, maybe you've played more because you're mentioning that you're building lots of armies at the moment. But I think if you get a load of people suddenly playing Arnor, then you get stuff that's going to be better against Arnor. And so, you might get a lot more, I don't know, Fight 5 stuff returning or I don't know. I can't think of what would be good against Arnor because I'm not very good at that sort of stuff. But and then you think, oh, then people start responding to what's being taken. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, crossbow spams again, and so I don't know. I'm more excited for new stuff than I would be about seeing an upgrade to other stuff. But feel free to disagree. I mean, just
a thought.
You're allowed to have your thoughts. I'm quite happy to.
I like new stuff.
You are allowed to think your own.
But
thoughts.
There's some old profiles I wish they would just. It'd be so easy for them to just tweak a little bit and make them. All the Lord of the Rings heroes, bring them up to the same kind of Hobbit level, or bring the Hobbit ones down.
What do you think, Alex?
I'm with John, but I'm not as interested in the rules. But I think controversially, I don't think many people are going to be with me on this, and I accept that. I would pump all my resources into upgrading old miniatures and lines.
As in, like the troops?
Yeah, 100%. And to me, and the heroes as well. I don't get as misty-eyed as I think some of my MESBG colleagues do about the old miniatures. I want.
So, out of interest, because I am one of those people who gets misty-eyed, and I couldn't give a toss about new models.
Very sweet.
But I'm interested. Did you start Lord of the Rings back in the very start and pick up the models when you were young? I didn't think you did. So you got into it because of the AMA model, wasn't it, or something?
I think it was AMA. Yeah. Well, you really know your battle camper lore. That's
I do obsessively watch. No, I mean I do remember that being your first video, so I assumed that had been why you'd done it. But go on.
No. I mean that's it really. I mean I get it. And I respect it completely. And I don't think it's an unreasonable view for anyone to hold. But two things. It's the first. I see the potential in the models. Like when I have Aemma and Durnhelm and Theoden lined up and against my ancient Royal Guard, and it's just like they don't look like they're from the same range anymore.
Yeah.
Right. I would love to have a massed cavalry charge where all the miniatures are of modern standard. Plus, because MESBG doesn't suffer with the same kind of scale creep as other games, you can still mix and match. They wouldn't invalidate old models at all. They'd just be there, which is presumably why they're not doing it. I
can see that from Games Workshop's point of view, if they keep making cool heroes, you're going to have cool heroes, and then you're going to buy the old models to have in your army. So the cost must be prohibitive for them. But I suspect a lot of people would just go, I've got 100 Riders of Rohan, and they've released 6 plastic sculpts on a 40 quid thing. I think people would buy them. But
I think they would. But the other problem is I do genuinely think, I worry about this, I think if they don't get to grips with it, I think it puts a clock on the game. I don't think the game can last forever because experience they at the moment, their currency, what they trade in is your nostalgia, your fondness for the older miniatures, which is fine. But we won't be in this hobby forever. We can't sustain it forever. And the only reason I joined is because I saw new models being released. And I probably wouldn't have done if that hadn't been happening. And I think the same is true for other new players as well. And I just don't think a game can last for 20 years without updating itself and expect to just keep riding on the same range of miniatures forever.
Yeah, and I guess that's why they're doing the plastic heroes. And they're getting pretty close to finishing. In terms of the plastic heroes of the sort of named characters from the films, they're not far off finishing them all. I mean, there's obvious gaps like your Sauron, and there's Boromir and Aragorn LSR, which are definitely going to be the next two heroes. They're Aragorn and LSR, Boromir. Boromir on a horse. I would put a lot of money on them being the next good heroes made in plastic. But I think those two, and then there's like the hobbits, like Frodo and Sam and Gollum, which need it. And then I don't think there's anything else in terms of actual characters that appear in the films. Maybe Arwen, but would you do Arwen? I don't know. She doesn't really fight in the film, so why would you?
Would you do Arwen?
Well, you guys didn't answer the question, so I just moved on. I think I don't think there's any others left. I mean, we've got Gothmog, the evil stuff. If they do a Sauron, that's kind of it. And we've had a Witch King. So once they've done those,
go God.
It's the Warriors.
Well, but again, he's very, very not in the film very much. But I can imagine a Forge World one. But then I think the next obvious thing to do is to do the heroes, is to do the troops. So going back to Last Alliance, doing some plastic elves, going back to
Armored Faramir would be nice.
Yeah, it would have been. But
I mean, it's. I think it's just. So, like I said, I mean, I play a lot of Star Wars Legion. Star Wars Legion, produced by a much, much smaller company. But when you compare the miniatures that they're producing, which are
incredible,
really, really beautiful. Again, from a much smaller company, compared, and I get when I was clipping off my wood elves, for example, there's bits where because of the way they're holding the spear, this entire bit is just one big plastic lump. It's like it's just sorry, it's not really good enough for a miniature at that price tag at this day and age. Like it just has fallen objectively well behind the standard.
And I think the Games Workshop is notorious for having the best models, or it likes to trade.
Yeah,
it likes to say it has the best miniatures in the world. But actually, when you compare them with other miniature lines that are making plastic models now, your Victrix or Perry miniatures, the troops are really very good in those now in plastic. So you compare and contrast them. Actually, they're not a warlord. They're not as good, certainly these 20-year-old ones. So they do need to, I think, upgrade them just to make them up to date with the good ones, the current ones. Interesting. I want to delve into some more comments because there's quite a lot more dropped in there.
Find Nip to the loo. Is that,
you are more than welcome to nip to the loo. I'll just dip you out. I'll remove you from the thing, and you can just pop back in a minute. And also, oh god, there was a humming there. There was a humming that was coming from John's channel, so nice to get rid of that. Right. So Lawforge says, if it turns out to be a hand, Harry has to eat his own. I like it. A defender in life, says Ewing, twisted by and turned by evil to serve Angmar, a tortured soul. That's a cool idea. Yeah. What if we have some tunnel vision? What about a torn banner? Part of Arnor terrain. Yeah. I think, so that's J-Mac mentioned that, I think. Interesting line of thought, says Sean Clark, about the terrain. Maybe it's a Primaris lieutenant. Very good. Looks like some sort of veteran hero or warrior to me, maybe even wearing an old flag as a cloak. The last desperate defense of Fornos vibes. Is it a plastic Thunderhawk? Is it maybe Matt Ward?
in miniature scale.
I like it. In the Lord of the Rings wiki, it said that Frodo, etc., get caught in the tomb of the last Prince of Cardolan. Could it be his spirit? Now that's cool. I hadn't, because that's the Barrow-wights, isn't it? That's the Fog and Barrow Downs where Bombadil comes and saves them. So that'd be a really nice connection to
that would be awesome. Yeah. That's a really nice idea.
I
wonder where the Games Workshop designers, they're ever watching these streams and they think that, they've got a great idea, and I'm sure they have got a great idea and a great design. And then they look at the comments like, oh, damn, that would have been really cool.
I hope so. I suspect sometimes they probably don't watch them for fear of us criticizing them too much. So who knows?
Very galling to have poured your heart and soul into a project for 6
and then someone's come up with a better idea.
Yeah, or people who don't really know what they're talking about be like, that's a bit of a weird sculpt there, and they're like, "Fuck you! You don't know how you don't know what challenge you're running to make."
It's tricky, isn't it? Because obviously, I'm we're neither of us are miniature designers, and nor are we rules writers. But hey,
everyone's an expert from the round.
Everyone's an expert. That's right. Lawforge says, John, the last thing we got was someone suggested, is it the Prince of Cardolan spirit, which is because that's the tomb that Frodo, etc., get caught in, which I like the idea. Lawforge says, I'd be happy with teasers for a whole year if it meant we were getting stuff next year. I don't think I'd go with that. I don't want another year of nothing except teasers. Yeah, like I don't get me wrong. I'm happy for the teasers instead of nothing, but I don't want them just to be teasing for 2026 releases or something. What do we got? We got
some ideas.
No, absolutely.
In 2030, we are doing Last Alliance.
Michael has.
Go on. Sorry, I was remind you that they've started building HS2, and then cancelled it in the time it's taken them to release new renderings.
That's very true. That is a reference to some English infrastructure for the international watchers. Michael Haskell says the monthly teasers and suggested trajectory of new and returning to the range models gives those of us interested time to save our pennies. That is a very fair point, and that's a nice positive way of looking at it. Jomp says, is the other side of this an Angmar Legion then, or a couple of legions, perhaps one that's spirit heavy, no monsters, and vice versa, like a Birdo Legion, no magic? I think I might have mentioned this when I was talking about this in the podcast, Entmoot podcast. All good podcast providers have it. I think it's likely that we'll get a couple of Angmar Legions, and I'd be very surprised if there isn't a monster heavy one like Birdo Legion in the book, because Birdo's a bit underused. I mean, he does appear in some Angmar armies, but it's usually Gullivar, Witch King, Barrowite, right? If you want a competitive army. But I'd love to see Birdo boosted up and given some special rules that benefit cave trolls a bit more than his current rule, because I think his current rule's cool, but it just doesn't happen because he has to kill a hero and then he's a banner for like that turn, so it's not that great. What do you guys think? Would you like to see a monstery one or a
yeah, that'd be cool. I'd like a traitor Rudar one, like the men of Rudar. So, well, Arnor split into 3 kingdoms because the 3 brothers fell out, and one of them sided with Angmar. So Rudar kind of sided with Angmar.
Oh, really?
Cardolan and Arthedan were the other 2, and I think Cardolan's king was the Barrow Down one. When he died, they decided to rejoin, but Rudar stayed separate, I think.
Wow, that's really cool. You're really adding a lot to this stream, it must be said, John. I mean, I'm glad you joined.
I'm very sad.
No, it's great.
I would love the idea. I would love to see you pitching like new model and book ideas to Games Workshop.
Well, I'm currently developing a first aid supplement. So
they're like, mate, nobody knows what you're talking about. It'll be hugely appealing to you.
Well, this really niche piece of history here that said that Numenorians fought hunted birds with crossbows. There we go. Crossbows.
I love that. That's great. Old Gaffer says, hello, Harry. Hello, Old Gaffer. Lawforge says, do we think we'd get some Rudar? Did you just say that? Rudar?
Rudar, yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Wow, amazing. Lawforge just said that. Do you think we'd get some Rudar themed units?
Dan, my man.
Yeah, nice, man. Minquisitor, are we allowed to have our own thoughts? Only if they chime with mine, I'm afraid. Minquisitor, thank you there. I would love if Rudar could be fielded on either side. Yeah, that's a cool idea. It says Muesli Man 100. Cool. Idea. I like that name on YouTube as well. That's cool. Ewing says, I love the idea of Rudar troops, but it would be themey if they can be part of both Arnor and Angmar. So, yeah, so they're all on the same thoughts. Understood, sir. Thank you, sir. They're all complementing each other. Which is better for dwarves, tunics? Oh, okay. Someone's asking a good question. Which is better for dwarves' tunics, red, brown, or green? What do we think? I know this is completely separate, but yeah, what dwarfs, Old Gaffer? Comment and we'll pass our judgment.
Plastic dwarfs that we're talking here.
Which era? Minquisitor, Plastic Hobbit. I really want them to do plastic militia archers, and I want them to introduce Hobbit farmhands with spears or pitchforks. So yeah, that's good. Hobbit troops with spears would be outrageous, says one person. That would be cool. Oh, yeah, Michael Haskell has got a good point. With more screen content on the way, the film December, the War of the Rohirrim, 2 more PJ produced films, Rings of Power series. We'll talk about that in a sec. Maybe these might be routes for new miniatures at some point to keep SBG going. Cameron Law says, Beefy Chiefy Angmar Legion sounds fun. And then Ryan Coop says, if they didn't want to make new troop models for Rudar, they could just use Dunland Kings like the Athelian Mages and Fiefdom Archers. But back to Michael Haskell's excellent point. Lots of movies on the way. We had the Andy Serkis directed Gollum Hunt for Gollum film announced. Alongside that announcement, there was a plan for a second film, which they haven't worked out yet. But I think it's like 2026 that they're going to release that one. So it's still a good few years away.
There's no idea what it is.
No, they haven't said anything about it. But they said more Lord of the Rings, and it's going to be Peter Jackson producing it all. And I believe Philippa Boyens and Fran Walsh are going to be writing as well. So I mean, what do you guys think of the idea of a more Gollum story with Andy Serkis in the role?
Did you ever watch the fan made one on YouTube?
There was a Hunt for Gollum. I think it briefly got taken off YouTube. Yeah,
it was filmed just a mile to me in Epping Woods.
Oh, right.
I don't know if it's still there. I don't know if it got DMCA'd.
I think apparently it was suspended off YouTube for a while, and then fan pressure got it back on. I think I did watch some of it, but
for a fan-made movie, it was.
I think that is an important caveat. It is important.
It was better than Space Commander John. Let's say that.
Nothing is better than Space Commander John.
You set the bar too high there.
I mean, I'm both incredibly excited by the prospect of more Middle-earth stuff on the screen, but also really apprehensive because, like, part of me thinks Peter Jackson, like everyone. Well, I mean, yeah, Rings of Power is highly criticised. I really like it, but we don't have to go into that too much yet.
We do.
But the thing is, Peter Jackson's the Lord of the Rings trilogy is fantastic. I think it's brilliant. It was understandably critically acclaimed. The Hobbit trilogy is okay, but it's still not amazing. And the prospect of Peter Jackson coming back again to return to Lord of the Rings, it actually worries me because I think the trajectory isn't that great if he's gone from brilliant down.
I think it all depends on like the studio giving him the time because like Lord of the Rings had was it 3 years to prepare?
Yeah, they started preparing in '97,
and that's like kind of unheard of in film kind of circles. So they got, and it shows because it's like what won how many? Well,
it was 13 Oscars for the final one, and then a smattering of them for the first two. So
yeah, incredible.
I find interesting. Sorry, John.
I was going to say, like, I hope the studio don't
give them the
do what they did with Hobbit. And
well, it sounds like they might have done because there's quite a long time between now and the
exactly. So hopefully that leads to some really good stuff because the Hobbit. I don't mind the Hobbit. I think the Five Armies is a bit. Why do you have elves jumping in front of a shield wall? Like, we could be here all day. The things that
I mean, there's a lot of stuff I really, really don't like about the Hobbit films. There's stuff I like, but yeah. What were you saying, Alex? You were going to say something.
I was going to say it is interesting timing to announce a Hunt for Gollum film, given the game Gollum last year. Gollum focused game
got completely panned.
So bad that the entire studio shut down based on the reception of that one game, and the filmmakers like, yes, now is the strike while the iron is hot.
Well, I think it's perhaps more. Andy Serkis is still very much in the Lord of the Rings world. He spent the last few years doing the audiobooks of the Silmarillion, the Hobbit, and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which have all been roundly complimented. And he's also just finished his the trilogy of Planet of the Apes movies, and he's now looking, and he's always wanted to direct something. I suspect that it's actually a great career move for him. That he's like, well, I've always wanted to direct a film. I assistant directed The Hobbit, including some of the scenes that from the riddles in the dark bit. So I suspect it's a wise move from all parts that Gollum comes back, PJ produces, Andy gets what he wants directing, and he stars in something which I'd imagine would be good. The problem is the Hunt for Gollum. What drama? Is there much drama in that? Well,
the twins are in it. Aragorn's dad.
I mean, these people are in it, but what is the drama? Like the drama, because ultimately the drama is
try to catch him before.
Try to find Gollum.
But they don't succeed, though, do they?
Yeah, they fail, don't they? So
I do feel like some rewriting is going to have to happen to make that work as a story. And this is the problem as well. It's not just about what action's in it. The reason. So when Peter Jackson and whoever else wrote the scripts of The Lord of the Rings, the changes they made to the characters were really astute, and they made the character arcs very, very compelling. Mm-hmm. So, obviously Aragorn is very changed from the book in order to give him space to grow. He grows into King Aragorn.
Yeah, he develops, because in the book, he's actually like, he wants to be king.
Yeah, he writes me up. He's just like, yeah, mate, or whatever. Same for Merry and Pippin, orchestrating the intervention of the Ents. Doesn't happen in the books, but in the film, it's a growth moment for them. And so we've grown with them for 3 movies. And it's really, really difficult, I think, from a story perspective, to wind those characters back to just before the events that we've already seen and kind of gone through with them, so with Aragorn, whatever, and have to try and set up a story that gives them a place to grow, which is necessary to drive that character's arc to get to the point at which they are starting out in the Lord of the Rings. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that's just from a filmmaker's perspective, if you even if you just scrap the lore.
Is that why
it's
Gandalf
really
in the Hobbit I suppose he's not really in it that much, is he?
Yeah.
Gandalf in the Hobbit, he's in it for the first one, but then he kind of dips out.
But I think that's largely Tolkien's fault. Like he just, it's weird Gandalf's involvement in that. He's like, "Hi, I'm a wizard. Here, off you go," and then I'll reappear at one point. And then I'm back, and then it just doesn't make much sense generally. I mean, I'm not. People will probably criticize me for criticizing Tolkien because obviously we're all here fans of the books, but I don't particularly think some of those narrative choices are that wise.
Book.
Yeah, but I love the idea of the return to Middle Earth, and the thing that does give me confidence is it's not just Fran Walsh and Peter Jackson and Philippa Boyens involved. It's Andy Serkis as Gollum and directing it, and all of those things it's very, very positive. It feels like a strong choice because Andy Serkis. I'm not convinced Peter Jackson's necessarily at the best of his game anymore because he just seems so much more interested in the Beatles and documentaries and making movies like historical films. So, but the rest of them do seem interested, and the War in Rohirrim stuff looks ace. So
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah,
Gunland Harad, legendary legend, please. That would be awesome.
I think J-Mac's reading the comments, right? You just reading the comments, right?
Why?
That just came out of nowhere.
It's like, yeah, no, he's probably like the best of his prime.
The War in Rohirrim, is it not? Like,
yeah. Are you saying Harad?
Harad attack Edoras with elephants.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah.
Is that happening in this?
Yeah,
film?
it is. Yeah, it is happening. Yeah, it is happening. He's right. We're wrong. We're the idiots.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Learn your lore. Harad with elephants help the Dunlandings attack Edoras.
He's right. I think it's even in the poster. It's on the poster.
All right. Okay. Apologies. That is interesting though. Some comments about.
Like me.
Yeah, you are. That's true.
Well, actually, I think you'll find
some comments. Old Gaffer says the Warhammer name for them is just Dwarf Warriors. I think they might be the ones from Moria though. What colour cloaks did we say? I can't remember what his suggestions were now.
Red, brown, or green? I think it was.
What I think green. Green tunics. What do you think?
I'm always a big fan of going to the colour wheel and picking like triatic or complementary.
Yeah, but you got to choose one colour to start with and then complement them with that colour.
So you're starting with the cloaks because the dwarfs don't have cloaks. It's only the captains.
Tunics. He says tunics.
Oh, tunics.
Alex,
I'm a fan of the old green. The old green, see from the very first, Return of the King book, the dwarfs.
I agree. I've green. So you're outvoted, whatever you say, Alex. But what do you want?
Green. I'm going green.
Green. We're all green. There you go. So Gold Gaffer, no choice other than green.
Get yourself an old rule book.
Absolutely, I agree. Lawforge says it was studio meddling that hurt The Hobbit. They didn't get the years of prep Lord of the Rings did. I think meddling is probably a strong word. I think it's more that didn't it all just go tits up because what's his face Guillermo del Toro had to drop out, and then Peter Jackson was like, well, I can't direct the same film that Guillermo del Toro was going to do, so I have to do it my way and just redesign it. And then they didn't get enough time, and then they had to add an extra thing in there. And then he had that really ill. He was super ill and almost died. So they didn't have all the planning, and so there was a lot of stuff that it wasn't just the studio's fault. Although I'm sure they can help. Yeah. The Hobbit aren't great movies, says old Gaffer, but some scenes still send tingles down my spine. Minquisitor says, I hope Hunt for Gollum is like Catch the Pigeon with loads of ridiculous plans to catch him.
We have a Muttley character. I will be so happy.
That's great.
Like a Roadrunner and Coyote kind of situation. Like
great idea.
Who's doing that? Certainly.
Yeah, I love that idea. Love that. MTP says Gandalf is problematic in The Hobbit because he could just solve every problem. The story needed Bilbo and the dwarves to have agency. Yeah, I get that. That's right. But he is a problem.
It's right, but I hate it.
Matt Fremantle says, love J-Max schooling you both in Tolkien lore. Man knows his shit, which is true. It is true. Old Gaffer says, okay, green it is. Thanks. I want to know how hard it will get to... Oh, and I want to know how Harad will get to Edoras with Gondor in the way. They used far too much CGI on The Hobbit, says Tom French. And Harad, yeah. I mean, I don't know. But I mean, because the Wayne Riders and stuff, they attacked Eorl the Young,
at the
didn't
same
they?
time, yeah. So I think Gondor was already getting done in, so they just went along the top.
But I mean, all of this is quite exciting for folks of Middle Earth, fandom. I mean, it does feel like a surprise, because considering, for a couple of years there, we had absolutely nothing. And certainly the last couple of years, we've had very little in terms of SBG releases as well. And then now suddenly there's all this potential. I mean, I guess the question is, are Games Workshop going to ride the wave of all these releases? I mean, there was hope for the Rings of Power, but that never came out. It came to any fruition for new models. Do you think A Hunt for Gollum is likely to lead to more models? It doesn't feel like...
It depends, though, because...
It's Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers, so they already got
they have the license with the Hobbit stuff.
So with much easier,
perhaps,
to do the new stuff.
Yeah.
So
whether there's
value with Amazon now, are they not? So maybe we might see. I don't know.
I think because Amazon has the rights only for the TV rights for something.
So no one has the rights to do miniature gaming based on the show.
I don't think so. No, but
I mean, I don't think they would anyway.
I mean, if Amazon wanted to do that, surely they could, but they just didn't license anything for Rings of Power, did they? Like, not that. I mean, it's not like there was notepads and toys and anything else, but they just don't really do that anymore, do they? Like,
I think they do. I do think there's something to say about the show being quite divisive, which probably didn't help.
It's also still one of the most watched things on Amazon. It's in the top 10 right now.
Only 35% of people finished it.
But it's in the top 10 right now of the most watched series.
But as an analogy, so in Star Wars Legion, they never released a single miniature model or anything to do with the
Gungans.
Well, no, I think they probably will do that eventually. The sequel trilogy just got nothing at all, even though they're massively commercially successful. And I think it's because it's not just about the success rate; it's about who is watching it. So, because if you're going to be buying the miniatures, you're not just a casual watcher of Lord of the Rings; you are a Lord of the Rings mega nerd. Unfortunately, it's amongst that demographic that they were really divisive.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So, with that in mind, let's have a watch of the Rings of Power teaser trailer, because not only is this a trailer that I think, Alex, you haven't watched yet.
I haven't seen a second of it.
So you haven't seen a second of this, which is exciting. And JMac, you're, as you've already made clear, you're not a big fan of the original series, the current series of Rings of Power. Worst thing to ever happen to Lord of the Rings. Have you watched this trailer yet?
Lord of the Rings, he just said worst thing to ever happen.
Ever happen? Sorry,
he set the bar much higher than that.
No,
so can I just ask?
That's a bit much, Alex. There's plenty of things I can say.
Have you seen this yet, John?
I have.
Okay, right. Well, withhold your opinion. This is about 1 minute and 43 seconds long, and it'll probably get me copyright strikes for this video. So I hope you're soaking up the advertising until then. But let's whack this on. Alex, want your genuine reactions, and also everyone at home, keep an eye out, because there's going to be something that I'm going to quiz you on afterwards in my classic game of what do your elf eyes see?
Legolas, what do your elf eyes see?
So that's a necessary clip. But
I will say I only watched it once because I knew this was happening. So
okay, good. So I've actually only watched this once as well. So it's all very, very exciting. So here we go. So we're going to watch a bit of the teaser trailer. Everyone can have a good think about whether they like the Rings of Power, they want to watch the Rings of Power, but also keep an eye out for something, because I will ask you a question related to what you see in this thing. Here we go.
An evil, ancient and powerful, has returned.
Prepare yourselves.
He worms his way inside your mind. The crest of him slithers in.
I think he has been here. I think he's been here among us all along.
Every soul in Middle-earth is in peril.
I really like. I'm excited by that. I really am. Alex, your initial impressions. You've not watched this before, and I realise this is on a stream where it's a much lower quality than it could have watched it in full HD. But what do you think? Does that excite you?
Flaming arrows.
I was very excited for season 1. I really was, and I remember being on a stream with you after the first couple of episodes, and I was like, I'm into this.
Yeah.
And I just think it went off a fucking cliff, and I'm finding it really hard seeing their characters' faces again. Like, you know, Lord of the Rings, I've watched Lord of the Rings how many times, I don't know. And I always have a hankering in the back of my mind to just throw them on again. I never want to see Rings of Power again. And the trailer doesn't make me want to go and watch season 2.
Oh, really? So you're not excited by season 2 at
and
all?
also, it's so fucking Hollywood. Right down to the fucking soundtrack. Yeah, it's so...
at the start,
and the really fast arpeggios on the string. They know what the market is. It's not us, and they're going to plow ahead. And also, there's a few clips in there that reminded me of, like, I mean, I don't know what context Galadriel says that in, but she's like, I think Sauron's been among us all along. It's like, yeah, mate, he came up to you and just sort of screamed at you for a bit for some reason, then pissed off after convincing the greatest smith in Middle-earth that actually alloys might exist. I think it's going to be very, very good at doing what it's supposed to do, which is sort of entertaining people in a... It's a regular kind of fantasy epic cosplaying in Lord of the Rings outfits, and at that it's probably very good. But I just don't feel like it's really well aimed at me.
J-Mac, you hated the first season. What do you think of that?
I like it. It looks amazing. Like, I think all the elven armor and all the aesthetics and stuff just look awesome. They even have the Balrog as like the worms. I'm assuming that's a Balrog. So,
remember, they put the Balrog in the trailer for season 1, and he ended up being in about 3 seconds. And that was because a reminder on the context behind that is obviously the famous line in the original trilogy is, you know, the dwarves delved too greedily and too deep. Mm-hmm. But actually, what happens in the Rings of Power is they have a bit of a health and safety crisis, and they're like, "Oh, that's a very long tunnel. I don't know, we might want to back off that." Until one dwarf goes down with a pick, and then a feather falls through and lands on the Balrog, and it's all a bit fucking weird.
I know, Alex, you're
no talking.
No, it's fine. It's Alex. I know you clearly not excited by this, but I want to delve a bit more into this. That J-Mac, who thinks Rings of Power 1 was the worst thing that ever happened in the history of the world. And
I think it looks really fun and really awesome, but I don't want to get my hopes up again because I did it for season 1, and it was they had Galadriel swimming across the Atlantic Ocean. They had like the part that made me realize that the writers have no idea on Tolkien's message was when like Gil-galad's trying to make Elrond break an oath, and we all know that you do not break your oath in Middle Earth. In any of Tolkien's works, breaking your oath is the worst thing you can ever do. It's a fate worse than death. That's why, like, that in the first stage, there's a kinslayings. They kill their own family and stuff to keep their oath, because like losing their oath. Sorry, you hung.
That's fine.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm in full swing here. What was I saying again?
You were talking about oaths, and
so you don't, and then Gil-galad, who should know all about this, just goes up to, just break your oath. Tell me what happened. Just break your oath. It's just so anti-Tolkien.
It's interesting though, because
And
see,
his
I'm
themes,
coming from this from a so you obviously are a big fan of the books, the lore. You're well deep into that. I am not that person. I am very much a Lord of the Rings film fan who really kind of disliked the Hobbit films, but you know they're average, they're okay. And who has tried to read the Silmarillion before and failed, and actually gets most of my enjoyment of the lore of the Lord of the Rings from the GW books. So this to me, I really enjoy. Well, I wouldn't say I know there's
Even
flaws.
the writing is garbage.
I don't think it's as garbage as some of the Hobbit writing is. I think it's on a similar scale.
See, that's where I'm so sorry to interrupt, but that's the interesting thing about this is when season 1 came out, it obviously famously aired side by side with House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
And
House
I
of the Dragon's way better.
I was so scorned by Game of Thrones. I wasn't even planning on watching House of the Dragon. And it sort of dragged me in. And I was like, this show is so well done. They know what they want to do. They know they've got a story to tell. It's respectful to the lore. And the writing is compelling and interesting. I'm really into like the theory of storytelling. I do watch a lot of videos about it. You know, I watch my YouTube videos.
Well, if you've watched a video about
I'm an
storytelling,
expert. I'm a fucking expert. But I really like it. I'm really interested in it, and I just feel like what they
But
were.
the Rings of Power. It feels like the writers
they wanted the spectacle, and that's things
like how to join it.
Yeah, they're like, here's the bits that we want to put in the trailer. Now we need to find a way of getting to them as expeditiously as possible. And I'm being fair, I'm generalizing. There are bits that I actually really enjoyed. I really enjoyed some of the story.
I love this.
I think you're. I think there's some truth in what you're saying, but I think that, you know, so that, say for example the Balrog bit, I think you're right. They wanted to market the hell out of this thing, and they knew that in order to do that, they needed to show glimpses of Ents, which they did, which was literally a glimpse, and Balrogs, which was a glimpse, to get people into it. But I think what they've actually done is make a very slow, sort of plodding drama, and it's too slow in the first season. But I'm hoping that they're going to pick up the pace a bit in the second one, because that's my fundamental criticism of the previous series, is that it just took far too long to get to the point of everything. I think it could have done with 2 less episodes, maybe. But
what was the point?
Yeah, I mean,
the point.
Alloys, man.
So they could put the big key in the Rube Goldberg machine that would make it do.
To make the dam fall down, to make Norder. Why didn't they just knock the dam down? Why do they need a key to open the dam? Just knock it down with hammers?
Just in case you missed the point, the great thing is that the old Eastlands logo faded from the screen and more came up, so you know that it's
I mean, obviously they do some they hammer some points because they know this is a broad audience, and they're hoping for a broad audience. But I don't have any problem with cinematic spectacle like that caused by a ridiculous MacGuffin. That's fine, but you could say the Ring is a MacGuffin. Like, it's just a ring.
The Ring is a MacGuffin. The Ring is the ultimate MacGuffin. But having a MacGuffin isn't necessarily bad. Yeah, but the problem. I think that we underestimate audiences.
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings
maybe
was absurdly popular, but it didn't compromise on itself in order to achieve that popularity. And yet, for some reason, we don't think that audiences will respond anymore. And so that's I think that's the point, isn't there? I probably am being unfair to the Rings of Power, and I think I probably enjoyed it more than I'm letting on. But one thing that pisses me off is whenever someone has a project like this, there is an opportunity cost. Amazon might have bought the rights, but I don't think it gives them absolute property over the story, because there's a lot of people invested in it, and I do think you've got a responsibility to try and use that in a way that's productive. And there was a massive opportunity cost. No one else can have those rights now. We're not going to get another go.
Just think like what it could have been.
Yeah, exactly.
I still think that it is a good series. It's decent. It tells an interesting story. There are flaws, but they, you know.
Look at John's face. Just a little.
I think it's fine. Like obviously the story being Sauron the Deceiver is there, and he's sneaking around.
He's there, all right.
He's sneaking around and all that. I think
in the middle of the ocean.
I get it, but I also think the story, the way they.
Why would Gil-galad get to send them back to Valinor? Arnor? Who gives him the power?
I don't. Like, the thing is, Jamie, I don't give a shit about. I couldn't give a toss whether Gil Galad has the power to this.
So how is jumping into the sea and swimming across the Atlantic Ocean? How is that a good fucking?
It's because it's dramatic. Because ultimately, like you're coming from a perspective where you know what Gil Galad's motives are, and he's like this paragon of virtue in the books because he has to be. He's the High King. But in this, they have to show that he's a flawed individual at some point in order for him to become a good individual.
He's the most hyper competent individual.
Yes, I know, but that's boring. If you had a hyper competent lead character as Galadriel,
a different story. Yeah, but that's Harad in Gondor's wars at the start of the Third Age.
Yeah, but that's not about
whatever you want.
People don't understand that because it's not you've got to connect it to the Lord of the Rings, so it has to have some continuity. So we've got Galad. No, but I think you need to have some connection in order to get people interested. And the Rings of Power being designed is, I think that's a good story because it links to.
I forgot there are people watching this.
Maybe. I don't know. Everyone's hating me.
It's
probably.
fucking wrong.
Yeah, we'll look at the comments in a minute.
I genuinely think that trailer looks amazing, and I think it looks awesome, and I love the look of all the armor.
Yeah,
and
I'm excited.
All the elf stuff just gets me going. It's just knowing what season 1 was.
I am excited. I've actually watched season 1 again. I realise that some people haven't.
Are you a misogynist? No, that's the wrong word. That's the wrong words. Masochist.
Misogynist. Not quite. I mean, I think Rings of Power has been criticised for certain things, but not for being misogynist. The opposite. Interesting. Although I don't want to come across like I think it's the best TV series ever made because it absolutely isn't.
I think it's the best series ever.
Oh, we need to hate. We need to hate from the Oscars. We have this defensible fortress. Oh, let's leave that and hide in the village.
Look,
watch me go up there, and then this tower will fall over when I shoot a rope because gravity somehow makes a tower fall over from shooting a rope.
I mean, look, I don't disagree.
It's just coming back to me in waves.
Harry, you're meant to be chairing this podcast. Move us on.
There are some stupid things in the series. I get that, but there are plenty of stupid things in the series. Like I mean, Game of Thrones has its stupid moments as well, and people still think that's brilliant. So
does Lord of the Rings films. To be honest,
exactly. Yeah,
the bit with Gandalf and the Witch King that can get in the fucking fire.
And you know. Legolas riding his shield down and you know climbing up the mummock and shooting it. Like all these things are silly, but you know we forgive that. But I think it's because people didn't like the Rings of Power that they're more happy to pick on those silly moments. But anyway, you're quite right. You're quite right. Let's have a look at the comments because I have a feeling there's going to be quite a lot of interest in this. So let's see.
Bickering for like 20 minutes.
Yeah. God, there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of comments. Okay, so I hope they're talking about Rings of Power. Bring back Tolkien from the dead and let's see his opinion on all this, says old Gaffer. Tolkien was a proud perfectionist he would not love very much, says Ewing. Michael Haskell hasn't seen the Rings of Power Season 2 trailer either yet, so he's watched it live with us. I'm intrigued to see what you think. An aspect of Tolkien I find sad as well as impressive is the perfectionism, I guess. Problem with all these new movies is the best story Lord of the Rings has already been told, says MTP. It's a fair point. The Elven Armor...
Tolkien would have liked the films either, would he?
No, he wouldn't. He'd have hated all the stuff that they'd lost as well. He would have probably liked that they kept the language, though, I guess. Elven Armor looks pretty good, says Lawforge. Is the questions, how many times did you wish you were dead while watching this trailer? I'll get to the question in a second. I like that. Wow, J-Mac is in the trailer, lol. I don't know what that reference is to. I was at the Dwarf. I love Anatar already. Yes, Flaming Arrows, love it.
Anatar.
Anatar says, I see why it's called Rings of Power. They all have rings now, says Tom French. I think that might be a bit ironic. It looks intriguing, says Michael Haskell. Not sure there were any Harfoots in there, nor Gandalf. Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Gandalf's in it for a second. He goes like that with his staff.
Oh, does he?
The Harfoots aren't in it, but I have seen an interview with one of the Harfoots, so they are still.
I'm because the Harfoots were by far my favourite bit of the last season.
Nobody gets left behind.
Yeah, I like that.
anyone we don't like, or
Yeah, well, or
you
anyone
know,
who
so
has a
forth.
minor cold or an
Minor
ankle
inconvenience.
injury.
Yeah.
And it's like writing.
Is that like? I did love that though, because they come across these lovely, friendly people, but they're more than happy to leave anyone with a
monsters.
minor injury behind to die, just to be eaten by monsters.
I love it when they're reading from the book and just laughing about all the dead people.
Oh yes,
He died to lots
remember
of
old John?
bees.
He slipped down the thing and broke his legs, and we just left him on the floor. Nice. But, that is true. Let's have a look. Carry on here.
Maybe I'll give it another watch.
They did the dwarves well in Rings of Power, except they did the women wrong. They don't have beards. Yeah, I think the dwarf woman does have a sort of facial fuzz, but not a beard. I think that's deliberate though. Overall looks, orcs, elven armor, moving close to PJ Lord of the Ring looks, says Frederick Schultz. I did rewatch season 1 last autumn, 1 year on, and my initial slightly disappointed view didn't change, but keeping an open mind, says Michael Haskell. That's interesting. I think I would probably agree with you there. I don't think I enjoyed it more on the second watch. I think it was still a sort of 7 out of 10 kind of season for me. Frederick Schultz, season 2 might be better than season 1.
6.9.
6.9, fair enough. I do have to agree that they did the visual aspect of Middle-earth really well, says Gaffer. Really hope they don't do another fake Rohirrim charge like the first Numenorian, but
Numenorians didn't use cavalry.
Yeah, exactly. The trailer had a cavalry charge which looked more impressive than the one we saw towards the end of season 1, which was an orc band village raid in effect. Yeah, that's true. Dave Sweetings retracted his message. I like that. I'm intrigued what you said. It was definitely 70-30 in the bad for season 1, says Lawforge. Tolkien is difficult to adapt at the best of the circumstances, and the folks at Amazon don't understand what makes Tolkien compelling. The show feels so generic. I mean, I think saying the folk at Amazon is I mean, there's two. I can't remember the names of the guys, but there's 2 guys who are in charge of it, aren't they? It's not like what's his
no writing credits at all, apart from one Star Trek film.
Yeah, but well, that is true. Yeah, but like it's not like Bezos is sitting there telling
directed by Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
give me 700 million, I'll make you a series.
Yeah, I really don't think he could though, J-Mac. I mean,
easy.
Nothing is going to top your spaceman guy.
Spaceman guy. That's a new character.
I can't remember his name.
Space Commander John.
Space Commander
John. Space Commander, my name.
Anyway,
you can play Spaceman guy in the next trailer.
Michael Haskell agrees with me here. He thinks the problem is stretching a storyline across X number of episodes, series, or films. I totally agree. I think they could have compressed it and it would have been fine. 6 episodes rather than 10 or whatever, and it would have been a really good series because you wouldn't have had so much bloat. That's the criticism with the latest Apes film, he says. It's the first of 3 and the story drags. That was the issue of the Hobbit trilogy. Michael, you and I agree so much on so many films. I really didn't like the newest Apes, Planet of the Apes film for exactly the same reason. There wasn't a story. Lawforge says, I think Harry and John should have a game to settle this. I'm with Harry here, says Weewing. Hey, look
we did. End the podcast.
Yes, there are flaws, and that annoys me a lot, but there's so much great potential, and they've really developed some interesting aspects and speculated in the lore. Some developments were bad. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree that, it's not... Cameron Law says Rings of Power is 7.5 out of 10, which is better than the Hobbit movies. God, everyone actually agrees with me. I'm surprised that. Not everyone, but tell the story in a timely, succinct manner, says Michael, even if that ends up with less screen hours overall.
Kill him, Alex.
Quality, not quantity.
This smugness is intolerable.
There's going to be a podcast.
Lawforge says Alex gets to choose the factions that we play in our duel to the death, John. Lawforge, heck yeah. And I consider myself a big Tolkien nerd on the level of J-Mac. So Ewing, I really wish I knew how to pronounce Ewing's name. It's Eiwing. How would you guys pronounce that?
Elwing.
Ewing?
Is it Elwing?
Anyway.
From the first stage? No.
What did you say?
Oh, it was EI.
Yeah. Eiwing.
I don't know. He's Danish.
Can you phonetically spell it out for me, please, Ewing? I'm going to go with that for now. He says he's he. I assume he, because 100% of my viewers are men, according to YouTube. But if you're not, apologies. Ewing says, I consider myself a big Tolkien nerd on the level of J-Mac, and he supports my speculation. So that's good. Game of Thrones sucked me in immediately. I knew nothing of the story. It was compelling immediately. I fell asleep watching Lord of the Rings of Power episodes 3, maybe 4 times. It was predictable and boring. What do we think the Venom symbiote is? Yeah, so that black squelchy stuff. Do you think that's a Balrog?
In the book, it said when the Balrog falls into water, it loses its flame and it becomes like a worm-like
Yeah. But would that then
slimy
crawl
one.
along the earth? Is that?
I don't know. It could be their interpretation of it because it doesn't really say much in the book. It just says it
No.
becomes a.
I saw it more as like a kind of interpretation of evil spreading, like Mordor spreading and killing trees and stuff. But maybe
That's how I feel after like a night on the sesh, like
just worming your way around the floor.
Kebab.
Ian McKee says, I wanted to like Rings of Power, but I'm fairly indifferent. Season 2 won't be enough to make me resubscribe to Amazon. I'll be watching you guys instead. Oh, that's nice. Thank you very much, Ian. I think I can totally understand people who have been burnt by the first season and aren't desperate to watch it again. But I also would urge people to consider.
I'm going to an open mind. I hope.
I think open mind is good. Awesome. Frederick says dwarves and orcs were quite good, and Michael Haskell says he wasn't a fan of the Irish slant given to the Harfoots. I'm including the music. I'm a sucker for that. I absolutely loved it. I mean, you could argue that Dale being Welsh bard in the Hobbit films was a bit strange, and I guess the dwarves are all Scottish. So I kind of think making the Harfoots Irish made sense to me because. I don't know. It just. But I appreciate that they are. It's a bit of a stereotypical Irish kind of accent and music, isn't it? But hey, I quite like it.
I just read another comment about Numenor, and it's like the most powerful island that ever existed, and they have to round up a couple of boys to go give them armor and go fight in Middle Earth. It's like, where's the fucking?
I love it.
And Numenor didn't use cavalry.
Yeah. Master Ball UK says, "Are we saying the wizard is definitely Gandalf?" ?
Yeah, he is. I think they confirmed that, didn't they?
I don't think they ever confirmed it anyway, did they? I
don't know why they didn't do a blue wizard. There were blue wizards at that time. They could do a blue wizard.
It could be a blue wizard. There's no.
No, but he says stuff like "follow your nose" and all that kind of.
Yeah, but I think that's trying to hint to us that it's a wizard, but not.
But they're not exactly subtle. It was so obvious how.
Yeah. I mean,
like it's like the mystery. Who's Sauron is. Ooh.
No, that's true. I thought the it could be Radagast because basically where the Harfoots were is Mirkwood, isn't it? Like that made more sense to me that he might end up there, but
it's too early for him.
Yeah, I mean, none of the wizards come down on a rock, though, do they? A meteor.
No,
so.
They come in a boat. Caravan goes, all right, pal.
Yeah, but still. Numenor was completely, again, generic. Nothing outstanding or memorable about this civilization. Perhaps I was most disappointed about this. I was really looking forward to seeing Numenor. Yeah, I thought it was fine. It's just, yeah. I think the problem is, how do you make it unique? Because, like, Numenor is, obviously, it's an island nation, but every single fantasy thing since Lord of the Rings was written has been stealing ideas from them. So, like, trying to go back to something original and making it feel different from the hundreds of things that have copied it since then is always going to be a really tough ask. So I think it's you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Now I quite like Numenor. It was fine.
When did Numenor get sundered?
It sunk.
Yeah.
Right then, like about 200 years before the end of the Second Age.
A while away. I don't know. Because basically it sinks, doesn't it? And then
Farazon the Golden attacked them.
And Farazon is the guy in the first season who's like got lots of kind of big wispy eyebrows and.
I think it's also quite confusing with it. I can't tell, like, if they made the lore really wrong because it's been so much time. They've basically compressed like. Yeah, that's the 1700 years because
they have.
The War of the Earth and Sauron hasn't even happened yet, which I assume is what the fighting was, like the siege and stuff. I think that's going to be Austin Ethel, the siege of Austin Ethel, where Celebrimbor gets spoilers. Actually, he has a pretty bad death. Yeah. Stop banging your bull, Bucky. Yeah, so that's like 1700 in the Second Age, but then there's Farazon's in it, and he's like, he doesn't come alive till like 3000 Second Age, so it's kind of like I can't really tell with this siege. So if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean it was literally a fraction of a second in an advert. So it says so. Next person says, I agree with John about Rings of Power overall, but I still find an enjoyment in Rings of Power, mainly the design and music. Where the Shadows Lie is a fantastic song to listen to. Old Gaffer says, I'm too much of a Lord of the Rings nerd to be enthusiastic about Rings of Power. I'm the opposite. I don't know how any Lord of the Rings nerd can't be enthusiastic about another 8 hours of time in Middle Earth. So
It's not Middle Earth.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's still cool.
It's
I
the
also
same characters. It's not.
I also love the smaller plots like Elrond and Durin, which I agree. That's a fantastic sequence. All of that stuff is brill. I don't know why anyone would dislike that. David Sweeting says, gave season 1 so much benefit of the doubt, but hated most of it. Dwarves and music good, though. I'll still give season 2 a go. Yeah, fair. I'll watch season 2.
I'm going to have an open mind.
I'll watch season 2 because I'm a Tolkien apologist, says MTP. Ewing is a name that's made up. It's based on my memory of an interpretation of my actual name, which is Eric in another language. I usually pronounce it by something like I-wing, but it's not Danish and not bound by rules. Okay, so we can just make it up. I'll just call you Eric if I can remember that. All Shall Fade says, my missus watched 30 minutes of Rings of Power before wandering off, and she sat through Mega Shark and Giant Octopus. So, yeah. Inquisitor says, to be fair, Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus is top class, top acting, and excellent CGI. MTP says, I agree with Harry. The Hobbit films are so bad too. I have a hard time determining what's more unwatchable, the SW prequels or the Hobbit trilogy. What's the SW prequels?
Star Wars prequels.
Oh, I quite like them. So yeah, sorry.
Star Wars prequels are fucking ace.
I like them.
I quite like them as well.
What you're showing is outrage to the show via bowl bashing. Yeah. The Star Wars. I quite enjoy the Star Wars prequels because I'm.
That's what I grew up with.
Yeah, I think so. I'm. A lot of people will hate me for saying this, but I actually don't really enjoy rewatching the original Star Wars trilogy, and I've rewatched the prequel trilogy a lot more often than the original trilogy of Star Wars films. So,
because I wonder whether we can pie chart how much of this Arnor miniature stream we spent speaking about Arnor debating. Like,
we did that. I mean, we talked about it. There's only how long can you talk about 3 pictures? I mean, we bashed that out. And to be fair, I did want to talk about Rings of Power because the season and Michael prompted the other stuff as well, which I'd completely forgotten to do. So I'm glad that we touched on it. It has gone on a lot longer than I expected. I thought we were going to probably hit an hour and a bit, and that's it. And we're getting towards 10 o'clock now, so maybe we should start to think about wrapping up. But I have 2 questions based on said trailer. I hope you are paying attention and can remember what happened. The questions are, and don't answer this straight out loud, either of you guys, because I want people to have a go in the comments as well. But testing your memory skills, how many elves were drawing their swords in an early sequence with Galadriel? So can you think of how many elves there were who were drawing their swords?
How do you know they're all elves?
Because they all have pointy ears.
Did they?
Yes. Okay. Galadriel is drawing a sword at some point, and there are a number of other people, humanoid folk, around her. How many are there in total who are drawing swords ready to fight? So that's the first question. The second question is, what is the color of the glowing dwarf ring halfway through the trailer? So there's a glowing dwarf ring that I believe during the older dwarf king is holding. What color was said dwarf ring? Okay, so hopefully people will have had a bit of time to comment their ideas. And of course, the winner of this quiz gets a bit of Ent draft. Very exciting.
Ooh,
yeah, bit of Ent draft.
What was the second question? I wasn't listening.
So first one is the how many elves or humanoids are
color the glowing ring.
Yeah, the color of the dwarven ring. So let's just have a quick look at people here. Frederick Schultz says 1 troll in the forest with the orcs. Frederick Schultz says Avengers. Masterball says is it 6-ish? Lawforge says maybe 4, as one was pulling a bow. Then plenty of people though are saying 5 elves. Yes, I didn't say if all of them are drawing the swords. I said who is there. So everyone is correct. Most people who said 5 elves. That is the correct answer.
There's also 2 spooky things in the background.
Yeah, but they're not fighting. Oh shit! I've just accidentally clicked Final Cut Pro. Oh my god, it's going to crash my computer. We
could destroy your stream again.
Well, I think we'll be taking control of your stream again then.
So guys, what did you write down? 5 elves?
Yeah, well, I had 5 and 2 spooky things.
Oh, was I supposed to be answering?
What did you think, Alex?
I would have guessed 7.
You would have been wrong.
I would have.
You could have easily said I would have guessed 5. And
I know,
we
but
would've-
while you weren't watching, I put my hands up like that. So.
Oh, did you? All right. Well, good. So J-Mac, you get some Ent draft. There you go.
Oh, I'm fucking massive.
That's a very good gag. I enjoyed that. Did I?
Alex's head and hands.
Sorry.
Did either of you guess blue ring?
Yes.
You got a paint pot out as well, so you both get a bit of Ent draft. They're both quite similar.
Oh, Christ.
There you go.
I'm too fat. Oh.
And if you are coming to my tournament in June, you may claim your Ent draft homebrew if you want to. Which
No,
I realise
could you put
now.
your event on the same day as mine?
Oh, that's a great opportunity.
I'll have John's for him. That's really unfortunate, isn't it?
John, tell us about your event in Scotland that you're running.
It's a 2-day event, and it's the smallest points event in Scotland, I think. 401 points. I don't think you can go any lower in the GBHL than
I
that.
don't know why we didn't do it 400 for the GBHL. It just make a lot more sense. But anyway,
I don't know. So if you fancy coming up to sunny Scotland, bring
Doesn't
your
exist,
star vest
so-
and your AK-47 along with your army.
And whereabouts in Scotland are you for the people who don't know exactly where?
It's basically Glasgow. It's called Paisley, but it's like 10 minutes from Glasgow.
Glasgow. And Glasgow, as I understand it, is a lovely city.
If you're pissed.
There you go. So that is good. And obviously, Alex and I will be at my event in Lincoln, England that weekend. And it's going to be very entertaining. Lots of toy soldiers being painted and lots of stuff happening. There's some things behind me, including a prize, which you're going to love, J-Mac. Hold on.
Is that a dildo again?
I haven't decided yet what to give this prize out for, but look at this.
It's
Biggest B.
Oh, is that the Rube Goldberg thing?
It is. It's the key to destroying.
It's the key to breaking the really breakable dam. Yeah, and turning Mordor on.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool, though, right?
That is.
If you're a fan of Rings of Power, that is pretty
It'd be
cool.
very cool. Yeah, very cool.
But I mean, there are also good presents, prizes as well.
I'm sorry. No. It is really cool. It is really cool. I'm not.
I actually do like this a lot. And if nobody wants it,
That's why, don't let me bring you down. I'm a twat. Just enjoy things.
There will be other cool stuff like the Get Off the Roads diorama, which is also wildly popular. The Ammon head.
I love it.
It is really good, actually.
He's my Shadow Lord.
The Ammon head, which is here, and
That's cool.
Sting, the sword. So there's quite a few bits and bobs and some other bits and bobs, which nice paintbrushes for the winners of the painting competitions, etc.
You know, you can get a 3D printed Ammon head that's like 3 times the size.
You absolutely can, or you can spend £30 and get it from Forge World, or you can come
It's
to my
not
tournament.
30 quid, is it?
It's fucking £30.
It's not 30 quid. Oh my god!
I immediately regretted it. I bought it. I was like, this will be. I genuinely bought it. Thought, this would be a great prize for a tournament, and I was like excited because I was getting the Get Off the Road diorama, and I was like, screw it, I'll pick up the thing. And then when I took it to the counter and he scanned it, I was like, oh god,
It's 30 quid.
do I?
Fucking hell.
I mean, it is nice. It looks really detailed.
Yeah, it's a lovely little piece, but it's not worth anywhere close to 30 quid.
It isn't. But hey, look, if you come to my tournament, you might be able to get it for free. So
Now that's a deal I can take.
that's
that is
a good
a
price.
deal.
That is a
The
good price.
problem is, Harry, I'll need to achieve something, and that's not my forte.
Yes, but you only need to achieve 3 things at my tournament. 3 things are because the way the scoring system is, you need to be nice to people. So it's not a great start. And you need to achieve victory points, though not necessarily win. And you also need to be able to paint. So, because each game is going to be rated out of 36, and your opponent will give you 12 up to 12 for your friendliness, your sporting conduct, up to 12 for your painting skills, and then the number your final 12 is for your VP scored. So
really like that system.
So it's just a little different. So hopefully there'll be absolutely
Sorry,
zero...
John.
I was going to say, other than you, Alex, there'll be 0 knobheads at this tournament. So it's great. Excellent. Right, I'll just have a dig through the comments. Lots of people got blue right. Well done, everyone. Yeah, I think everyone. Oh, Ian McKee got it green, sadly, and Old Gaffer says yellow, white, but most people did say blue. So well done to everyone who got that right. Michael Haskell was blown away by Star Wars originally. He was 12 years old when the first Star Wars came out. Which, yeah, youngsters are so spoiled these days, he said. I'm a complete Star Wars purist. They spoilt it with unnecessary CGI additions, says David Sweeting. Frederick Schultz says the spooky things are Barrow Whites, and Tom will come save them, hopefully. Old Gaffer says tea or Ent draft. What's your preference? Ent draft, always. What about you guys? Tea or beer?
I hate tea. Don't drink tea.
You
what? You should get in the fucking fire.
Jesus Christ.
That is your
podcast.
That is your podcast. You can't cast people into the fire here.
No, thank you.
Please.
He's just trying to
we have an exception.
Lawforge says, who here is going to Teaser Gathering? Lawforge, I don't actually know who you are, Lawforge, because I assume you're on the list for my event, but I don't know. I would love to see Tom Bombadil, says Dave Sweeting. Looking forward to playing Return of the King there. Excellent. No Goblin Cleaver. Is the event sold out, says Master Ball. Harry's. He says Harry's event. He's not interested in your one too.
Yikes.
Yeah, there are still there's 10 tickets left, but they have to be good or evil, and they have to balance out. Currently, we have 15 players.
Can I just sack my event and come to yours?
Why don't you bring all of your players down in a big?
If you guys merged, you'd get.
How many people you got at your event?
Oh, I don't know, about 16, I think.
16. Yeah, you'd have to drop 7 or 8 off, and bring the rest. But we could do that. Anyway, Master Ball says, is the event sold out? No, it isn't. That's very exciting. Minquisitor will be at the gathering as well. And that's it. And someone says, Iwing says, see you at the Nations Cup before anything else. Says, I think that's directed at you, Alex, because you were asked to be the commentator at the Nations Cup.
I was asked because they had a better choice, but they dropped out.
You know what I did? I really wanted to go, but I actually couldn't. I couldn't get the time off work, and it's not like I can go on the Saturday morning and come back on the Sunday night, but that's just physically impossible to get to wherever it is in Denmark. Was it Denmark or Belgium?
Yeah,
Belgium, Antwerp, wasn't it? But you're going to be presenting some live stuff there in June. June, yeah, first week in June, just 2.5 weeks from now. First weekend in June, so that'd be the June the 1st.
The sweatiest players in Europe. Enjoy that, mate.
It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to watching
I'm not playing, right? I'm just sitting there and filming them.
I'm really looking forward to watching that from home. I think that'll be really good.
The thing is, the people who tend to commentate are meant to know as much about the game as the players, I think.
No, that's not true. You've got an expert with you. You've got I believe, a European international expert who will analyze. You're presenting the show, and they're going to analyze the content. So you don't have to know anything other than the basic.
Perfect for you, Alex.
Yeah.
Perfect. You don't have to know anything. Anyway, with that all in mind, we've done 2 hours. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And guys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys in for the stream to talk about Arnor and everything else. I'm really excited for the next 6 months of SBG. It's going to be ace.
I'm excited now.
And obviously, big plug for both Battle Camper, JMax Armies of Middle-earth, and crucially, Casted Into the Fire, your new podcast, which I've only just realised starts with the word cast as well.
Yes,
so good.
It's Into
so
the Fire.
Good.
It's such a good name.
It's so good. I mean, I was just thinking Cast Into the Fire just works perfectly as a Room 101 podcast, but I didn't think of the cast. That's so good. So good.
Thank Alex for that. He's the brains.
It's very clever. Well, but crucially, J-Mac, you're the editor, and that is the real.
That gives me all the power.
That's where the real magic is made. So thanks, guys.
Yes, Glasgow is a trek, Master Ball. But...
Yeah, it is. Depending on where you are. If you live in Paisley, then Glasgow's not a trek, is it? I suppose. But anyway, thanks everyone. I can see people starting to drift off. The numbers are going down, but it's been great to have everyone here. So thanks very much, and I hopefully will do another live stream again at some point. Maybe not in 5 months' time, like I did between the last one. So all the best. Boo rah rum.
Bye.
Who's house trash?